subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
In looked at Mi, who was stunned for a moment. Your father's not dead. He is in prison. Just rescue him later. Really? It's great. Hearing this news, Miji and Shanshan were very happy. Then, what about Mieying? Is he okay? Mieying? Are you still related to Mieying? In frowned. If you ask Mieying, it's not good news. Mieying is my brother. Miji looked at In and said. In was silent. Looking at In expression, Miji seemed to understand. Brother is he dead? In didn't speak, just nodded, and Miji didn't speak anymore. After a while, she heard Miji's choking sound, and then the sound of Miji's cry resounded in the cave. In sighed, then looked at Tian. Tian understood, put down the food in his hand to coax Miji. Girls coax girls, there's always some effect. Several hours passed, it was getting dark, and a few people were ready to fall asleep. Brush. Brush. There were two voices in the woods outside, except for Miji, who was already asleep. Everyone stood up. Did you choose to come at night? In walked to the entrance of the cave and looked out quietly. Sure enough, two ninjas. The bandits should all be sleeping now, so let's go in and kill them all. One of the ninjas said, the other nodded, and the two pulled out the kunai and walked towards the cave. Lay done. In raised his right hand and clipped two kunai in his right hand, covering the lay done, but he didn't throw it out immediately. In was hesitating whether to kill these two people. In ninjas always want to kill the enemy. At this moment, Lugio's voice came from behind In nodded, and there was silence for a moment, just as the two ninjas were about to step into the cave in an instant. The two kunai in In hands flew out at an extremely fast speed. The two chunin fell to the ground in response. Ah! One of the chunin let out a howl of pain. In walked in front of him and looked down at the corpse next to him, whose head had been pierced by kuodong. None are inserted in distant trees. In killed a chunin just now, leaving a survivor alive. As for why it went so smoothly, one is because the two chunin thought it was just a few bandits and relaxed their vigilance, and the other was because of In kunai speed too fast, and another is because there's indeed a gap between their strength and In What? Konoha ninja. The man who fell to the ground was actually pierced through his legs. When he saw the Konoha forehead guard around In waist, he understood everything. Gook. In looked at the corpse and retched for a while. The last time he went to bury the 4 guards of the Insolo clan was the first time he saw the corpse, but now he killed a person himself. Although I didn't spit it out directly, but it was very uncomfortable in my stomach. Lugio went up, and the living ninja, In finally dragged the body out, threw it under the cliff, and then returned to the cave. Princess. Your Highness Princess. That chunin actually knew Miji, and it seemed that he was one of the rebellious chunin. You know me? Miji was also woken up by his painful howl just now, and now she was surprised to see that the ninja in front of her knew her. I am the original chunin of the Kingdom of Honey. The chunin bowed his head in shame and did not dare to look at Miji. Miji was also angry when she heard that he was the original ninja of the Kingdom of Honey. Clenched fist. How many ninjas have become traitors in the country of honey? Shanshan looked at the ninja in front of him and asked. His expression was not very good. It seemed that he knew this ninja. Shan-chun. The ninja looked at Shan-chun, only to recognize that he was Shan-chun. Harmony with Kai Shangren. Yamaha Shangren betrayed. My father? Shan-chen's eyes widened. Shan Yi was his father. He never imagined that his own father had also defected. That chunin nodded. There are also 4 chunin, including me, and the one just now, and 10 genin. How was it possible for my father? Shanshin still had an incredible expression on his face. His father has always been respectful and responsible, guarding the country of honey for so long, and he's been telling himself that he must protect the country of honey. How now? End of this chapter. Chapter 25, Second Wave of Ninjas. Chapter 25, Second Wave of Ninjas. If you disappear, What level of people will come to you in a few days? In Xiang looked at the Chunin and said, the current situation is more complicated. If the two of us rebelled and disappear to carry out the mission, the village will send someone out to find us within a day. One day, faster than expected. In Xiang nodded, lowered his head, and thought, if it wasn't for two rebels, it would take at least 3 days for someone to come. But if two rebels came just to test their loyalty, if they ran away as soon as they left the village, they would definitely be hunted down. Let's take turns to watch the night tonight. Maybe there will be tales behind them. Lu Jiu also nodded and said, then let me guard first. Xiao li voluntarat. Okay, In Xiang nodded, then walked up and threw the sleepy Chunin aside and put an explosive sign behind him. Don't move, or you will die. No more. In Xiang patted the Chunin on the shoulder after speaking. Don't. In case. In Xiang was frightened by that Chunin. Hey, there's nothing in case. As long as you don't move, there's nothing. In Xiang smiled and walked back to his place, leaving the Chunin curled up on the ground in horror. After that, everyone went to sleep again, but Shan Shun was the only one who couldn't sleep because of his father. Shaoli was replaced by Ningzi. Ningzi was replaced by Kai, and Kai was replaced by In Xiang. By the time In Xiang was vigilant, it was already early morning, and it was almost dawn. In Xiang took a deep breath at the entrance of the cave, moved his tibia, and then sighed. And when he came out to perform the task, he couldn't sleep well all day. I couldn't stay outside the cave for too long. So In Xiang quickly went back, leaned on the corner of the entrance of the cave, and quietly watched the outside until it was about to change shifts when there was movement outside. Why am I so unlucky? I'm always here every time I come here. In Xiangshan looked outside. A ninja in a dark yellow vest was standing at the entrance of the cave and was about to come in. He was young, about 20 years old. Hunin. In Xiangang suspected it at first, then shook his head and heard from Shan Shun that his father had also betrayed. The age of Shangren may be around 40, but it is not ruled out that this person is from Shangren. Possibility. But if the other party came with 2 people, and he went out to kill this person now, and someone else saw it later, then his plan would fall short. After thinking about it, In Xiang pulled out kunai, leaned against the wall, and waited for the ninja to come in. Now he can only wait for him to come in, and then secretly kill him to see if anyone else follows. In Xiang exhaled softly, then closed his eyes and listened to the footsteps quietly. The footsteps were getting closer, and just as he was about to turn, In Xiang hugged his head and then stabbed the kunai directly into his throat so that he could not make a sound. This took the ninja's life directly, and then In Xiang dragged him into the darkness, and he didn't make a sound until he died. Phew. In Xiang exhaled in large mouthfuls. Now that he killed this man, he was not as flustered as he was at the time. He gasped for breath, and then he recovered. After slowed down, In Xiang continued to lean on the corner, and then quietly looked outside to see if anyone was coming. After waiting for a long time, someone jumped down from the tree. Sure enough, it seems that these 2 are also Chunin, and they seem to be ninjas from the land of stuffing. In Xiang smiled, and then walked out directly, preparing to fight this Chunin head-on. You can't just rely on sneak attacks forever. Thinking of In Xiang, he walked out of the cave. The ninja in front of him saw the forehead guard on In Xiang's waist. Konoha ninja. When he saw this forehead guard, he understood everything. Well, In Xiang nodded. Is it just the 2 of you here? A child is so loud. Seeing that In Xiang was young, the Zhongren became hard-hearted and took out Kowu to prepare for a fight with In Xiang. Shadow, secret method. In Xiang stretched out his hand to seal. In Xiang's shadow crawled out from the ground, and then rushed to the ninja with a stride. The ninja's eyes widened. Although he had never seen this ninjutsu, he still lifted up Kowu to stop. Shadow punched down. The original Shadow and In Xiang changed positions, and In Xiang also fell down. At this time, the Shadow came behind the ninja and punched him in the waist. This ninja was quick to respond, and he used his strength to push back against In Xiang's kunai, avoiding In Xiang's shadow. Lay done. Let's go. In Xiang quickly formed a seal on his hand. When the ninja landed, a thunderbolt attacked him along the ground. 2 done. Tuliubi. This ninja also used Tuliu. The wall blocked In Xiang's attack. Spiral pill. In Xiang's voice came from behind him. He turned around. A helix pill hit his back directly. He flew out and hit his earth wall. Just as In Xiang was walking on the ground, In Xiang's shadow came behind him. After, he switched positions and caught him by surprise. The ninja slammed into the wall and immediately fainted. Sure enough, the strength of a small country ninja is not good. No wonder a small country is a small country. In Xiang whispered in his mouth, then put away the shadow, dragged the man into the cave, took out the rope from the bag, and also took the ninja. It was tied up, thrown together with the previous ninja, and a detonating talisman was pasted by the way. Are you here? Lu Jiu also woke up, looked at In Xiang, and said, well, 2 Chunin, 1 dead and 1 caught. In Xiang nodded. I'm about to wake up now. You go to sleep for a while and make up your sleep. Lu Jiu stood up and said to In Xiang, forget it. I'm not going to sleep anymore. Now, they have broken up 2 more Chunin. When someone comes, I'll try and see if I can get rid of the Chunin. In Xiang shook his head and said if you don't sleep, it's already dawn and there's no point in sleeping anymore. It's still a bit difficult to solve the Jinin. I tried it, and the strength of this Chunin is only in the lower end. Although the sight can keep up, but the reaction can't keep up, the strength of the upper end is estimated to be not much different. Don't underestimate the enemy's carelessness. If the strength of the opponent's Hunin is beyond your expectations, you may be lost in one face-to-face. Lu Jiu said to In Xiang. Okay, I understand. In Xiang also nodded. End of this chapter. Chapter 26. The pain of 10,000 ants eating the heart. Chapter 26, the pain of 10,000 ants eating the heart. There may also be some Umbu in this village. If Umbu comes later, the strength should be similar to that of our village's Kaminen. Shikaku set aside. Everyone also slowly woke up. If this kind of person comes, just leave it to me to deal with it. Kai rubbed his eyes and said in a daze, I can help you identify people. Chunin, named BG who was arrested before, said, this is looking for a chance for himself. You have to know that it doesn't matter whether you recognize someone or not. Since you are a traitor, you will surely die. In Xiang said, looking at BG. I know. I'm unforgivable right now. I will definitely help you with whatever I can do for you. Okay, let me ask you, when will the next group of people come? In Xiang squatted in front of him, then stretched out his hand and tore off the detonating talisman on his back. BG exhaled. The detonator was torn off, and he was relieved. This time, if they suspect that we are defecting, then they're on a tracking mission, long-term, and the first person to come is also 5 days later. 5 days? That's a bit long. In Xiang bit his lip. Then if you run back now and tell them that you have encountered a strong enemy and were attacked, and you're the only one who escaped, then they will how many people are sent out to take revenge? This? I really don't know. I guess 1 Joinin and 4 Chunin. After thinking about it, Biki said he was really not sure. After all, he didn't know who the ninja in the land of stuffing was. How to do things. What if these 5 people disappeared again? This, BG didn't know what to say. At this moment, the ninja who had been knocked unconscious by In Xiang woke up and shrank on the ground like a maggot. He may know more. Biki said when he saw that he woke up, this man is a ninja in the land of stuffing. In Xiang nodded, then looked at the ninja, who just woke up awake. You. The ninja woke up, looked at the ninjas around him, his eyes widened. When did so many ninjas sneak into the vicinity of Honeyflower Village? I ask you, if you disappear, how long does it take for people to come to you? I won't tell you anything. The Zhongren looked at In Xiang and said, but he was not at all cowardly. Really? In Xiang smiled, then stretched out his finger and lightly poked the place where he was hit by the spiral pill. The ninja screamed like a pig. Say still, don't say it. In Xiang poked him with his finger after speaking for a while, and the whole cave was filled with his shouting. No, impossible. The ninja was sweating profusely, curled up on the ground, but still held back his words. It's fine if you don't tell me. In Xiang nodded, stopped poking him, and took out a kunai from his ninja bag. Then I'll slash your body one by one, and then sprinkle it on sugar, throw it into the mountains for you. let you be bitten by the ants one by one, and taste what it is really like eating the hearts of 10,000 ants. In Xiang's voice was very low, but the ninja shuddered and got goosebumps when he heard it, and the people around shuddered after hearing it. It was the first time they found that In Xiang was so black. Would you like to try it? In Xiang said, swiping his face with Ku, and a stream of blood flowed down. Don't. The ninja felt the blood left on his face, and when he thought of the scene In Xiang had just said, his heart shuddered. Don't. I said. On his face, his inner defense line was finally broken. It would be over if it didn't happen this way. In Xiang put away his kunai, and then squatted in front of him. Tell me, you have disappeared. Who will come to you? 3 days later, 1 Jounin takes 5 Chunin. The 4 Chunin will disappear, and so many people will come after that. The situation in the village is special now. Everything needs to be resolved quickly. If the 4 Chunin disappear, a lot of people will be dispatched. Now this ninja doesn't hide anything from In Xiang and asks what to say. 3 days, you can barely accept it. What if they disappear again? Again, that might be the 3 Shanjin. Possible. This is already a high-level secret. The disappearance of so many ninjas in the village for no reason will arouse great attention, and it will also cause panic among the villagers. The ninja looked at In Xiang and said. In Xiang nodded. That's it, okay, then I'll try. In Xiang smiled and stood up. Then what do we do now? Niji looked at In Xiang and asked. Wait. In Xiang looked at Niji and said, just wait for them to come. When their strength is weakened to a certain point, we can sneak into Mihua village and kill everyone else. Sure enough, it's a long-term task. Yeah, how long have you been out? Tian stood up and stretched out, saying that from Konoha village to here, several people have been outside for 10 days. Don't worry, it's better for us to wait here and wait for them to fall into the trap. It's better than rushing in and sacrificing a few. In Xiang smiled and said to Tian, the next time someone comes, they must let me take action. My body is almost paralyzed, Shaoli said with a wave of his fist. He exercised every time along the way, and only exercised when he was on the boat. Next time, let's take a shot together, kill them all directly, and try to keep Kamijin alive. He can know more. Lu Jiu smiled and said while looking at Xiao Li's impatience. I will definitely catch him alive. Don't worry. I will definitely do my best. Don't worry. Kai and Shaoli shouted. A class full of combat effectiveness is the strongest class with the best brains. Tian laughed aside. You are too relaxed. We are in someone else's country. Niji said helplessly from the side. These 3 people are really nervous. It's good to be relaxed, but it's not good to be tense all the time. Lu Jiu said aside. Then I'll go around Mihua village and see if there is any movement. In Xiang walked towards the entrance of the cave. Be careful, Lu Jiu said to In Xiang's leaving back. Got it. In Xiang waved his back to Lu Jiu and the others, then left the cave. End of this chapter, Chapter 27, the 3rd batch of ninjas. Chapter 27, the 3rd batch of ninjas. 3 days later, the 3rd group of people came, and the people who came were, as the Chunin said, 1 Shangnin, 5 Chunin. This matter really caught the attention of the top management of Mihua village. Kai took the lead and rushed out to fight with the Shangnin. The second person to go out was Shaoli. When the 2 masters and apprentices went up, they punched and kicked. Niji also went out. That Shangnin, Niji, and Shaoli dealt with 2 of them alone. There's also a Chunin who interferes with Kai. Tian, guard in the cave. After In Xiang finished speaking, he also rushed out. Only Lu Jiu and Tian remained in the cave. When done. Big breakthrough. In Xiang ran his hand and formed a seal, and a gust of wind blew away the Chunin who interfered with Kai. Good job, In Xiang. Thumbs up to In Xiang. Small thing. In Xiang smiled, then ran up to fight the Chunin. Although Xiao Li and Ningxi are both very strong, they are better than ordinary Jinin, but it is still quite difficult to fight against these 2 Namihua village Chunin. So In Xiang wants to quickly solve this Chunin and help them. Spirulina. The Chunin just stood up from the ground, and a big ball fell on his face, and he was smashed with blood, and his whole head almost exploded, which is different from the anime. Helix 1 told rotate and smash directly on the face of the person. An entire face will be cut off. Chunin was hit by the spiral pill and flew out, hit a tree, and then remained motionless. Mr. Lugio, aren't you going out to help? Tian looked outside and said to Lugio, they can handle it. Lugio smiled and looked outside, not intending to take action. Little Li, I'll help you. In Xiang saw that Chunin fell to the ground and couldn't get up, so he went over to help Shaoli. Ningxi was able to parry it, and Shaoli's side was 1-2. Some little effort. No. Shaoli still had a smile on his face, fighting with the two of them inextricably. Noble whirlwind. Shaoli put his hands on the ground and turned his legs to defeat both Chunin. I'm fighting with him hard. Shaoli fell to the ground, with one hand behind his back and the other hand out in front of the two Chunin. What about Ningxi? In Xiang was looking at Ningxi, Huitian. Ningxi was using Huitian to block a few kunai shot by the opponent, but he didn't expect that at this time. Ningxi had already realized it by himself. Back to heaven. I don't need to hear gossip 32 palms. After Ningxi answered, he used 32 palms on a Chunin in front of him, defeating the man, and the Chunin behind him watched. I didn't even dare to come up. Okay, In Xiang nodded, then glanced back at the cave. Lugio was very strange along the way. And this time he didn't help. His smile was much more than usual, always giving In Xiang had a very strange feeling. The Konoha whirlwind. Kai turned around in the air and kicked the Kamagen with 1 foot, fire escape. The big fireball technique. The Joinin jumped back, and a big fireball technique hit Kai. Kai kicked away this big fireball technique directly. This Hunin can be regarded as shocked by this. I didn't expect that he would be able to use the body technique to kick the big fireball. Konoha Gonli whirlwind. Before he could finish the horror, Kai was already in front of him in an instant, kicked him in the face, and kicked him out. His nose bleeds, and an arc was drawn in the air. Power! Go ahead! Before he could land, Kai chased after him again and kicked him. Bump! This Hunin smashed into a tree. His eyes were lost, and he almost fainted. Don't struggle. Mr. Kai hasn't even started seriously with you yet. In Xiang smiled and walked over to tie up this Hunin with a rope, binding him firmly. I really didn't fight. I didn't fight enough. Kai also said with a helpless expression, the strength of this small country's ninjas is too bad. Hearing Kai's words, In Xiang's heart trembled inexplicably, but In Xiang didn't care too much in his heart and tied this Jorin into the cave. Shadow Dance Leaf. Shaoli had already dealt with one Chunin, and now he moved to the other at a high speed that could not be seen with the naked eye, kicked the opponent into the air, and gave the Chunin a heavy blow. Forbearance smashed together are in a coma. The 64 palms of the 8 diagrams. Niji also used the 64 palms of the 8 diagrams to knock out 2 Chunin at the same time. Both of them vomited blood and fainted. Now all 5 people will be killed. In Xiang smiled. Hey, I said that you're really a Jinin. Why are you so weak? In Xiang crouched down and said to the next Jinin. This person also looked middle-aged. In Xiang squatted next to him and talked to him. He also only glanced at In Xiang. Just now, this kid only made 2 moves, and he killed the Chunin in one face. Konoha's ninjas all, is it a monster? Li, come and deal with the corpses. Ningxi dragged the 2 corpses on the ground and shouted to Shaoli. Okay. Shaoli also grabbed the legs of the 2 people with one hand, walked under the tree, and killed In Xiang's Chunin, dragging on the other hand. The 2 walked towards the cliff together. You Konoha ninjas, what are you doing here? Joinin said, looking at Kai, who came back. Go on a mission. Kai also said directly to him. Mission. Joinin was stunned for a moment. What kind of mission is this? Why do you kill so many ninjas in the land of stuffing? Our 2 countries are different. Our mission is to solve the war between your 2 countries, an S-level mission. In Xiang said to Shan Jin with a smile. Your mission? Tell me like this. Shang Rein confused Yin Xiang again. This kind of mission is considered a secret, so why did you tell him like this? You're going to die anyway, so it doesn't make any difference whether you tell me or not. In Xiang squinted at him and smiled. Looking at the smile of the child in front of him, his whole body trembled. Why is he so scary? This child, Lu Jiao, who was behind In Xiang, listened to In Xiang's tone, remembered In Xiang's creepy smile to Chunin before, and said silently behind Yin Xiang. Soon Xiaoli and Ningxi also came back, and this Shangren was also carried to the back. When this Shangren saw Shan Chun, Miji, and the two Chunin behind him, the whole person was instantly bad. But when Yin Xiang and others walked back to the cave, a few figures appeared from the woods. Konoha Ninja, this is really strange. A middle-aged man stood at the front, with two masked ninjas behind him. Go back and call people. I'll be watching at the entrance of the cave and kill them all. The middle-aged man continued. Yes. A ninja behind him replied, and then disappeared. End of this chapter. Chapter 28, 3 Hokage. Chapter 28, 3 Hokage. This is Pingang. Biji's eyes widened when he saw this man. Didn't you say you want to capture Jounin? Why did you capture a Chunin? Chunin. Yin Xiang was unsteady and almost fell to the ground. I was tricked. They will soon come to a lot of people. We have to change places quickly. Yin Xiang said while packing his things, and the others followed. Pack up. Hee hee, you can't escape. Ping Gang sat on the ground and smiled. The entrance of the cave has been surrounded, and you will all die here. Damn. Yin Xiang got angry when he heard his words, dropped the bag in his hand, took out Ku, scratched and tore off Ping Gang's clothes, leaving only his underwear, and then used Kuizai. He made a non-lethal cut all over his body. Then he brought sugar from Mickey and sprinkled it on him. It was another scream like killing a pig. They all said that it was very painful to sprinkle salt on the wound, but in fact, it was very painful to sprinkle sugar on the wound. Yin Xiang held the man on his shoulders and then threw him on the ground, deeper into the cave. It didn't take long for a terrifying cry. Countless ants climbed onto him from all directions in the cave, got into his wounds, and began to eat his meat sprinkled with sugar. This is unbearable for human beings. Pain. Yin Xiang this. Tian looked into the depths of the cave, when everyone had already put on their backpacks. Don't worry about him. I won't be able to shout out in a while. Yin Xiang shook his head. I thought about it. Or let's fight them. I will fight as many people as I can. Kai said with a twisted neck. I think so too. Xiaoli also agreed. How many people will come? Yin Xiang asked the Chunin who had been arrested before. This person was already sweating profusely because of Yin Xiang's fright. Yin Xiang told him before that he wanted to give him a try, but now he really sees it. To this scene, the fear of Yin Xiang can no longer be described in words. At least 3 Shanjin. And Umbu. Maybe Miang will come too. He replied quickly, not daring to hide from Yin Xiang. Now is indeed very dangerous, but is also the time of greatest opportunity. Yin Xiang pursed the corners of his mouth. Let me just say, even if the genin of a small country is weaker, it can't be so weak. Kai glanced deep into the cave and said, just fight them. Niji also said, what do you think 3 generations? Yin Xiang looked at Lu Jiao, who was stunned for a moment, and the people in the cave were also stunned. What are you talking about, Yin Xiang? Kai looked at Yin Xiang and then at Lu Jiao. Lu Jiao still stood there smiling and said nothing. Mr. Lu Jiao won't use that kind of barrier. Yin Xiang walked in front of Lu Jiao. Mr. Lu Jiao doesn't have such a smile on his face. Although Mr. Lu Jiao is afraid of trouble, he won't look outside and fight again. I don't even come to help, and Mr. Lu Jiao won't watch me all the way. Yin Xiang looked up at Lu Jiao's eyes and didn't dodge at all, but Lu Jiao's eyes narrowed. He slowly raised his hand and made a seal. With a sound of a white mist dissipated, and the 3rd generation appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Everyone else's eyes widened. 3 generations of adults. Kai stared at the man in front of him with 2 big eyes. Yin Xiang, you're really smart, but even if you know I'm not Lu Jiao, how can you know it's me? The 3 generations looked at Yin Xiang curiously. With Mr. Lu Jiao's ability, it's okay to help you handle Hokage's affairs during your absence, and it won't be easily revealed. Mr. Lu Jiao won't take this task privately. At that time, he took a bite and said that he would accept it. You are the one who does this task. Apart from the 3 generations, I really don't know who can make such a conclusion. Are you here to test my abilities, Sandai? Yin Xiang looked at Sandai and said this boldly. Yeah, Sandai took out a pipe from his pocket and lit it. Finally, I can take a puff. I don't know what you mean by 3 generations. Test me. Let's see if you can take on the responsibility of Hokage in the future. The three generations said directly to In Xiang. No, In Xiang shook his head and said, I don't want to be Hokage. It's enough trouble for me to be an assistant to Hokage. It's because Lu Jio told me what you think that I want to try you. Old man, I can be considered as you grew up watching you grow up. You don't know my virtues. I'm not interested in being a Hokage. No, let's deal with the matter in front of us first, and they will be here soon. Shaoli said while looking outside the cave. 3 generations are here. What are you anxious about? You scare them to death. In Xiang looked at Shaoli and smiled. I wasn't sure yet. I thought about it for a while, and I still plan to ask this question. Wouldn't all the problems be solved easily? Sandai, what should we do now? Kai also looked at Sandai and asked. Listen to In Xiang. Isn't it like this all the way? Sandai said to Kai. Kai looked at Sandai and then still looked at In Xiang. Let's fight, but there are still 3 generations left. In Xiang put down his backpack, and now he felt more at ease. Originally, In Xiang was about to run if he couldn't fight, but a flying thunder flew home directly. 3 generations will help this time. In Xiang said, looking at 3 generations. Of course. Sandai also nodded and said, Then let's go out. In Xiang nodded, then took out a flying thunder god kunai. The first one walked out, and everyone followed. When they came out, it was just right. Dozens of ninjas ran out of the woods and just stopped in front of them. The 3 generations still did not come out of the cave. When In Xiang and others could hold on, the 3 generations could. It is better not to appear or not to appear. You Konoha are so few people here, and you dare to interfere in the affairs of our country of stuffing, said the leader, Hunin, who looked a bit like Shan Shun. Father. Shan Shun ran out of the cave and shouted to the leader, Jinin, who was indeed Shan Shen's father, Yamaha. Shan Shun, what are you doing there? Come here. Yamaba saw that Shan Shun was actually opposite, so he hurriedly called Shan Shun over. Father, what are you doing? Why are you treasoning the country? Shan Shun shouted at Shan Yi, his expression very painful. Shan Shun, what do you know? Come here quickly. Don't hurt you. Father, you'd better lead people to surrender. You can't beat them. Shan Shun naturally saw the 3 generations just now. The 3 generations of Hokage are all here. Where are these ninjas who are the opponents of the 3 generations? What nonsense, Shan Shun. Come here quickly. There was a group of ninjas standing behind Shan Yi. In Xiang counted them, and it seemed that there were 15 young people. All of them were shaman, and there were 2 Zhongren. There are 3 Jounin, and 2 are wearing masks. End of this chapter, Chapter 29, Ninja Wars. Chapter 29 Ninja War. 8 Chunin, plus 4 treasonous Chunin. 12 people, 2 were captured and killed by In Xiang before. There are 8 left, 6 came in the morning, and they were all killed, so now there are only 2 Chunin left. Lei Dan. 1,000 bird stream. In Xiang immediately started, and they couldn't continue talking. Strings of electricity appeared around In Xiang's body, and then spread out. The electric current directly attacked the ninjas, and they all jumped off the spot to avoid them, and black holes were smashed into the ground. Don't kill my father, please, Shan Shun said quickly behind him. 8 gate Duanjia. 5th gate. Du get, open. Kai also directly opened the 5th gate and rushed up. Noble whirlwind. He kicked a masked ninja directly, and the ninja lifted. He raised his arms and directly resisted Kai's foot. It's really different. Kai's face didn't have a surprised expression, but a smile, and now he can enjoy the fight. Kill them. Yamaha also quickly directed the ninjas to attack In Xiang's and others. Shadow Clone Technique. In Xiang made a seal on his hand, separated 2 shadow clones, and passed over a dozen or so under the ninja. Tian, Xiaorun, you solve it. Okay. Tian took out the scroll and went to find the dozen or so shinobi. With In Xiang's shadow clone taking the lead, it was very relaxing and happy to fight these dozen or so. More than a dozen people were beaten by In Xiang's shadow clone. There is no fighting back. 1,000 birds. In Xiang's hands flashed with lightning, and he ran towards the 2 Chunin. The 2 Chunin also used the earth flow wall to resist, and In Xiang raised 2 walls directly in front of him. Chidori's sharp spear. In Xiang kicked the wall, rolled in the air, and then landed on the ground. Kiandori's sharp spear directly pierced through 2 earth flow walls, and then pierced through the heart of a Chunin. What? The Chunin next to him widened his eyes when he saw it. Suffer to die. Suddenly, an emotionless voice came from his ear. He turned his head, and a black figure held kunai and pierced through it. He slashed his throat, and the 2 Chunin lost to In Xiang in one move. Shadow, secret method. In Xiang in front of Tuliu wall said softly with a seal in his hand. Fire escape. Great fireball technique. A voice came from behind In Xiang. In Xiang quickly made the seal of the substitute technique, and then a flame burned a section of wood. Secret law barrier. Where In Xiang landed, a purple barrier suddenly rose, trapping In Xiang inside, and a masked ninja landed in front of In Xiang, who used it just now the big fireball, and then predicted where In Xiang would land, and used the barrier. Swap. In Xiang glanced at him, then switched positions with the shadow, then retracted the shadow, and escaped the barrier. The eyes under the mask of the masked ninja were wide. He had never heard of this kind of ninjutsu. Chakra. In Xiang frowned as he felt his chakra. Chidori. Chidori spear. Chidori. Shadow secret technique and shadow clone technique. With In Xiang's current chakra volume, still a bit bad, he doesn't have the special physique of Naruto. The Konoha whirlwind. Kai smashed over with one kick, and the masked ninja jumped up from the spot, dodging the kick, and a big hole was smashed into the ground. The 2 masked ninjas are both fighting against Kai. Niji and Shaoli each play against one Shanjin, and they can't hold it anymore. Their strength is still somewhat different from that of Xiao with Shanjin. Shanshin was entangled. Literally, here I come. In Xianqian and the masked 2 got into a fight with Kai and went over to help Shaoli. Father, surrender now, Shanshin said, while fighting with Shanyi. The 2 father and son fought without seriousness at all. Shanshin, are you bringing these people here? Yamaha's kunai and Shanshin's kunai collided, and Yamaha whispered to Shanshin. Yes, let go to the task that Konoha announced. Yamami nodded. It's a big deal. Shanshin, how could I betray my country? Yamaha whispered to Shanshin. Huh. Shanshin was also stunned. What does this mean? Teacher Lu Jio, help Niji. In Xiang shouted to the inside of the cave, and the 3 generations in the cave would also agree, changed into Lu Jio's appearance, and came out of the cave. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Lu Jio threw out 3 shuriken, and then used the shuriken clone technique, attacking Jinin who was fighting against Niji. Niji had been beaten all over his body. Touch. The Jinin attacked by Shikoku used the avatar technique and escaped the shuriken shadow avatar technique. Tudai, Tuyuda. Lu Jio stood on the spot and continued to make seals on his hands. As soon as the joinin landed, he was washed down by the ground that turned into mud. Tudai. Earth Dragon Bomb. Lu Jio continued to form the seal. A dragon head appeared on the ground, and dozens of earth bombs were spit out from it. His blood. It's not bad for the 3 generations of Hokage-sama. Seeing that the 3 generations had taken down the joinin who had suffered so much, Niji said aside. The 3 generations just had a smile on his face and did not speak, and then continued to watch In Xiang. Win done. Big breakthrough, Lei Dun. In Jian used a big breakthrough, and then added Lei Dun to Kou. With the blessing of 2 escape techniques, Kunwa flew out at an extremely fast speed and penetrated directly. The right arm of the Jonin was cut off, which also lost one of his arms. Li Lianhua. Shaoli rushed up, opened the 3rd door of Beiman Duanjia, kicked that Jinin into the sky with one kick, hit him in the air, and then kicked him to the ground. Shaoli's muscles were also aching, which was already the strongest move he could use at the moment. Fake. In Xiang shook his head on the spot. Shaoli was puzzled, and the people on the ground became a soil clone. When Shaoli grabbed his calf and squatted on the ground. In the Chunin exam, Shaoli used this trick to lose his leg because of Gar's attack. The side effects of lotus flower. 1,000 birds. In Xiang's hand flashed lightning again, and then kicked Shaoli away with one foot. When Shaoli was stunned, a hand came out from where Shaoli was just now, and In Xiang directly gave 1,000 the bird slammed up, and the entire arm was blown into a mess. The underground screamed like a pig. This Hunin crawled out of the ground. His left hand was blurred by Yin Xiang's blast, and his right arm was also crippled by Yin Xiang's foam lei ku. Let you play with me. Yin Xiang reached out and asked for a spiral pill. End of this chapter, chapter 30, the last step of the plan. The final step of the chapter 30 plan. But when the spiral pill was halfway through, it disappeared in Yin Xiang's hands, and the two shadow clones that had just killed Jinin also exploded with a bang. Damn, chakra is coming to an end. Yin Xiang scolded and then kicked the belly of the Jonin, who had no strength to fight back, and he sat on the ground with his buttocks. Then Yin Xiang took out a kunwu and threw it on his head. Half of the kunwu was inserted into his head, and he fell to the ground with big eyes. Power! Prelude. Kai kicked over, and all the ninjas except Yamaha were killed. Seeing that these ninjas were all killed, Yamaha and Yamami stopped fighting. I am exhausted. Yin Xiang sat down on the ground, panting. Niji and Shaoli also sat down on the ground. Those ninjutsu are all created by you. Sandai came behind Yin Xiang and said, Yin Xiang was stunned for a moment, and then realized that the three generations were talking about Chidori's extended skills, Chidori Ryu and Chidori Sharp Spear. Well, both Kakashi-sen taught me Chidori and developed it later. The extended ninjutsu that came out. Yin Xiang nodded and said, both moves can be considered class A ninjutsu, and they are very powerful. Sandai nodded and smiled. When I have enough chakra, I will teach Rachel with big brother Kakashi. S-rank ninjutsu must be very strong. Yin Xiang put his hands on the ground and set his body backwards. Your chakra volume is much higher than your peers, and it could be higher than Chunin. Sandai continued, there are more chakras that have been refined since I can remember, but they're still far behind. Yin Xiang nodded and said, what are you two going to do? The third generation looked at Shan Shun and Shan Yi. Both of them stood where they were and stopped moving. Yamaha looked at the fallen ninjas in the land of stuffing and didn't know what to say for a while. Konoha ninjas were so powerful that everyone was killed. Yamaha then sighed, I didn't really treason Yamami. Yamaha looked at Yamami and said, Miang isn't dead either. Brother isn't dead? Miji also ran out of the cave after hearing this, looking at Yamaha. Your Highness Princess. Yamaha stared at the girl in front of her with wide eyes. You really are with Shanshin. What is going on in the village? Mickey asked Yamaha regardless of anything else. Okay, let's go in and talk. Let's deal with this. Yin Xiang said to Miji, looking at the corpses all over the ground, and asked them to go into the cave and talk. After Miji nodded and agreed, she took the people to the cave. Yin Xiang and a few people began to clean up the corpses and threw them into the valley. The corpses inside had been piled up into a hill, and they were all stuffed in the country of ninjas. By the time Yin Xiang and the others came back, the conversation in the cave had already finished. It turned out that this was a trap set by the Kingdom of Honey. Miang suspended animation. In fact, at this time, it had already occupied the base of the Kingdom of Pai. Kill the Miang in Mihua village now, and the war between the Kingdom of Stuffing and the Kingdom of Honey will end, and the Kingdom of Honey will be unified. Miji being chased and killed is the first step to make an illusion. Seeing that the plan is about to succeed, I didn't expect Miji to kill such a carbine and come back with so many Konoha ninjas. Then, am I making trouble? Miji said with her head lowered. Not really. Those four Chunin are truly treasonous, but you helped us deal with them. Now that the country of stuffing is dead again, the fighting power is not much. Yamaha said, at the same time relaxed. Tone, the war between the two countries is finally coming to an end. How many ninjas are left in the land of stuffing? Yin Xiang asked while looking at Yamaha. 1 trap, 2 umbu, 2 upper ninjas, and more than 10 lower ninjas left. With your strength, you can easily kill them after entering. Shan Yi said to Yin Xiang. He did not look down on this at all. Child, he saw Yin Xiang's various performances just now. This child is very strong. To resolve the disputes between the two countries, there is 1 shadow level. For umbu, 5 shangnin, 12 chunin, 33 lower, there are quests with shangnin, and it is an A-level quest, 5 shangnin and 4 umbu. It's not an exaggeration to count it as an S-level mission, plus the shadow level powerhouse. And the rescue of a country The SS-level mission is not an exaggeration. I want 3 million taels for this mission. In Xiang raised his head, looking at the top of the cave. He said, 3 million taels? Yamaha's eyes widened. This is not a small amount. Okay. Miji agreed immediately, and she would give them the money no matter what. She cheated them before, and now she has to take responsibility for this matter to the end. The 3 generations looked at the side and nodded with satisfaction. This In Xiang will really benefit Konoha, which has brought 3 million taels to the village. This kid not only has strength, brains, but also political ability. It is more pleasing to the eye. That's easy to say. When we recover, we will go directly to Mihua village in 2 days. In Xiang nodded, then leaned against the wall, then suddenly sat up and took out the knife bag. A misery. Suddenly remembered something. In Xiang said, and threw Lei Dun, which was covered with ku, and pierced the head of the previously caught Chunin. Now the only person caught is the treasonous ninja Biji. It's up to you to figure it out. In Xiang dragged the Chunin he killed to the back of the cave. The man behind was already dead, and the flesh was bitten piece by piece, very bloody. In Xiang Tun he swallowed, resisting the urge to vomit, threw the Chunin that was dragging his hand on top of his corpse, and walked back. Biji, you're thinking about treason, and it's not our turn to deal with this matter. I'll hand you over to Mieng-sama, and Mieng-sama will naturally deal with you. Yamaha looked at Biji and said, Understand, Yamaha-sama. Hiki also nodded, daring to look down at Yamaha and Mickey. Tian, are you injured? After In Xiang came out, he saw Tian sitting by the fire and wrapping a bandage on his hand, so he walked over. It's okay, a little hurt. Tian said while wrapping a bandage. I'll come. In Xiang took the bandage from Tian's hand. You can't wrap it like this. End of this chapter, Chapter 31. Dive into the mission. Chapter 31 Sneak Mission. In Xiang took the bandage in Tian's hand and then removed the bandage. I don't treat the wound, just wrap the bandage so that the wound will fester. Did you treat your injuries like this before? In Xiang looked up and looked up. Everyday eyes. This time it's because I didn't bring the medicine, so I forgot. Tian also looked at In Xiang's eyes, but the two of them didn't move their eyes for a while. I didn't bring it earlier. I have it here. In Xiang walked aside and took out a small bottle from the bag next to him. It will hurt a little bit, bear with it. In Xiang looked at Tian and said until Tian nodding. In Xiang Sai lowered his head and put the medicine on and smeared the medicine in the small bottle on Tian's arm. Tian felt the pain and took a deep breath. Hiss. After taking the medicine, In Xiang put the small bottle on the ground and then gently blew on Tian's arm. Tian looked at In Xiang like this and fell in a deep thought. In Xiang didn't notice Tian was looking at him and put the bandage on, wrapped around Tian's hand, and then tied it. That's it. In Xiang tied the 10,000 animals and looked at Tian, only to find that Tian was looking at him in a daze. What's the matter, Tian? In Xiang stretched out his hand and waved in front of Tian for a while, and Tian finally recovered. Huh? It's nothing. Tian shook his head. Then you have a good rest. There will be a battle in 2 days. In Xiang nodded, then walked back to his own position, lay down, leaned his head against the wall, and stared at the top of the cave in a daze. In Xiang seems to be in a daze often. Tian looked at In Xiang and muttered to herself, but she didn't even notice that she had begun to pay attention to In Xiang's every move, thinking of the battle in 2 days. I can't wait, Shaoli said while sitting on the ground and doing push-ups. Make sure your body is in the best condition, Li. Kai was next to Shaoli, and the two of them sat and did push-ups together, their sweat constantly falling to the ground. In Xiang, I have a task for you. Sandai walked to In Xiang's side and said to In Xiang. In Xiang sat up and looked up at Sandai. Private dispatch? There is no need to pay for this. In Xiang looked at Sandai and said. Sandai laughed after hearing it. Why do you like money so much? Money is a good thing, don't want it for nothing. In Xiang said, what task? Go to Honeyflower Village alone and kill as many enemy ninjas as possible. You don't have to participate in the action in 2 days. In Xiang was silent for a while. This task is very dangerous, yes, but after I come back, you will teach me the sealing technique. After thinking about it, In Xiang agreed. Even if he can't beat it, he can still use it flying Thunder God run, isn't it? Okay. The three generations agreed immediately. He had heard In Xiang learn the sealing technique several times. I hope I can kill a lot of ninjas. After In Xiang finished speaking, the figure disappeared into the cave, and he had used the flying thunder god to reach a corner of Honeyflower Village. 3 generations. Such a dangerous task. In Xiang him. Tian, who had been paying attention to In Xiang's side, ran over and said to the 3 generations, "Don't worry, In Xiang knows how to use Flying Thunder God. Even if he can't beat him, he can still run away." Sandai smiled and interrupted Tian's words. Sandai said this to Tian, and Tian was relieved. "But I didn't let him go so soon. His chakra hasn't recovered much." Sandai smiled bitterly. In Xiang's figure appeared in the corner of Mihua Village, glanced at Kanai in the corner, and then used the transformation technique to transform into another person and began to walk on the street. It was afternoon, and there were still many people on the street. If you want to do a task, you have to spend money. Money, it's a good thing. In Xiang sighed, bought some food, and walked into a hotel where he had to restore chakra. And this place also I can't stay for a long time. If the perceptive ninja finds out when he perceives this piece, it will be a little bad. After eating something, In Xiang took a few pills and rested on the bed for a while before leaving the area. He hadn't touched the bed for a long time. It was really comfortable. In Xiang came all the way to the gate of Mihua Village. There are gatekeepers here who have been replaced by Jinin, but the number is more. There are 6 people. 3 people are in the small house at the door. 3 people are standing at the door. In Xiang decided to deal with the people in the small house first, and then deal with the people outside. In Xiang went around to the back of the small house, glanced at a ninja at the door, then changed into his appearance, and walked in from the main entrance generously. "How did you come in, Ono? What's going on outside?" The 3 people inside looked up and saw that they knew someone and didn't do anything else. One of them looked up and asked, "It's pretty good outside." In Xiang walked in front of the person and was also behind the 2 people. "It's not very good inside." "What do you mean?" The servant who called Xiaoya was stunned for a moment, and then his neck was wiped, and before the other 2 servants could react, they were pierced by In Xiang's other 2 kuodong. "I think you have it too." "Family, don't blame me. Blame yourself for being ninjas." In Xiang put away the 3 kunai and said while looking at the 3 corpses in the small house, "No matter which village it is in, the age of Jinin is relatively young, and there are ninjas who have been trained since childhood. However, the ninjas are very cruel. Since In Xiang is here to perform the task, he cannot let them live any longer." Then In Xiang used the same method to become a person in the small house and walked to the door. "What's the matter?" "It's not yet time for a shift change." Shimonin at the door saw him approaching and said, "I'll come and have a look." In Xiang said, then walked to the door and went all the way to the person on the far left. "The breeze outside is still more comfortable," In Xiang said while looking at it, while quietly slipping from his sleeves. "Out has been miserable. Yes, the air in the land of honey is much better than that in the land of stuffing." "One of them," Jinin said. "I'm sorry," In Xiang said, and the 3 of them looked at In Xiang suspiciously. At this time, the 3 of them happened to be standing in a straight line. In Xiang looked up at them. When he fell, the kunwu was inserted into the last person's head. Half of the kunwu went in, and the 3 Jinin also fell down at the same time. End of this chapter. Chapter 32. Unexpected Incident. Chapter 32. Unexpected Incident. After killing the ninjas at the door, In Xiang quickly retreated. As long as someone came to the door, the infiltrate would be exposed, and some ninjas would start looking for the infiltrator in Mihua Village. In Xiang wanted to do everything he could before that. Maybe kill some ninjas more. In Xiang began to shuttle in Mihua Village. In Mihua Village, there is no Chunin anymore, and there are only 2 Umbu, 2 Shangren, and 12 Lower Run. In Xiang's purpose of this trip is to kill these 12. As a ninja, there will be only 5 ninjas left in this village by then, and it can be said that there is no way to fight back. I don't know what happened in the village. Many ninjas have never come back after going out. We still have to patrol the streets. In Xiang stood on the roof, and 3 lower ninjas passed by. I feel like something big is going to happen, and the village is very weak right now. So many ninjas in the land of honey have been killed. Who else can come? They should be out for special missions. The three Jinnies walked below and said. In Xiong quietly followed. Mieying building. What's going on? Haven't the ninja who went out yet? Sang Ying sat on the chair, very anxious. Behind him stood two Umbu, and in front of him were two Jnin, one of whom rebelled with Yamaha. And Kai Jiaonan. There is absolutely no news from them. So many people have been sent, and none of them have come back. Said Jiaonan next to Kai. How is that possible? Konoha ninjas, are they really that strong? Cold sweat broke out on the head of the trapping shadow. If all the ninjas he sent out were really killed, then his resistance would be meaningless. I thought that sending 5 Shangnin with so many ninjas will definitely kill Konoha ninjas. Now it seems that Konoha ninjas are really underestimated. There are only 5 of us left in our fighting power now. If Konoha's people break in, Hikai was on the side, and he didn't finish his words, but the 5 people present understood that under the masks of the 2 Umbu, also a little nervous expression. Why does Konoha come to meddle in the affairs of our small country? Damn it, Sang Ying slammed his fist on the table, very angry. He couldn't understand. The country of honey and the country of fire were separated by 108,000 miles. Why Konoha's ninjas will make a special trip here. The princess of the land of honey fled into Konoha earlier. I'm afraid she hired Konoha's ninja, said Joinin next to Kai. What else can I do now? Mieying looked at the 2 people in front of him and said, he has just conquered the country of honey, and everything has not yet stabilized. I heard that something happened in the country of stuffing, but the news was completely interrupted. Now that the Konoha ninja comes out again, he really doesn't know what to do. I'm afraid the trend is over. Hikai shook his head. That team of Konoha ninjas is really deadly. They have already killed 2 of us Umbu, 3 Shangnin, 12 Chunin, 15 of us. Forbearance, it feels like we keep killing them, as if they all planned it. Hikai felt right. They fell into In Xiong's trap completely. Although a large number of ninjas came from behind, making In Xiong a little flustered for a while, but luckily they recognized the 3 generations and beat In Xiong. A dose of tranquilizer. In Xiong had already killed these 3 shinobi in a small alley, and then turned into one of them. He walked on the street in a grand manner to see if he could meet other ninjas. In Xiong's attacks all the time. Do not play cards according to the routine at all. Become the person that the opponent receives. Let the opponent relax their vigilance, and the attack is fast and the opponent can't react at all. Secretly attacking. People can't escape at all, thinking that In Xiong is the real ninja suitable for living in the dark. In Xiong is not someone like Naruto, who just rushes up to do it. Nor is he someone like Sasuke, who must come out and pretend to be a force before he kills the enemy. Nor is he someone like Sakura, who screams to death as soon as he makes a move. The ninja, In Xiong, will not show his face. He likes killing people in the invisible feeling. At the gate, the 3 ninja teams saw the 6 Genin who had been killed and panicked for a while. After discussing it, they hurried to report to the trap, fearing that someone in the village would sneak in, and they split into 3 separate ways to go out. One person was unfortunate. I ran into In Xiong on the street. Umbrella Mountain, Umbrella Mountain. It's not good. All the ninjas at the door were killed, and someone sneaked in. Let go to the shadow trapping building. When the next person ran over, he saw In Xiongbian and shouted, "Did you see it alone?" In Xiong looked at him and asked, "No, there are 2 more. We divided into 3 ways to report the letter. Come with me." Narin said. He pulled In Xiong. His hand was about to leave, and when he turned around, In stunned him with a knife in his hand, then dragged him into a corner and killed him. Then In Xiong went to look for the 2 men who reported the letter and wanted to catch them. In Xiong went directly to the downstairs of the Mieying building. In Xiong was much faster than them, waiting for In Xiong to get here. At that time, 2 Genin happened to run over from 2 different directions. "Umbrella Mountain, why are you here? Come up with us," one of the Genin said as he passed In Xiong, and then ran directly into Mieying's building. The other Genin ignored In Xiong and ran indirectly. In Xiong turned around and threw 2 Lei Dun Kunwu, which directly killed them. The 2 rolled down the stairs. By now, Yin Xiang had killed 12 of the 18 men, leaving only 12 left. 6 gave up. When these 2 genin came running, they also saw people from those 2 teams on the road. One of the teams had a perception ninja. He had already started perception and wanted to find Yin Xiang, but Yin Xiang didn't know it yet. Yin Xiang dragged the 2 corpses to the bottom of the stairs and threw them in the corner. Dead. Dead. Someone in the village walked to the place where Yin Xiang killed the 3 lower ninjas. What's going on outside? Jinin next to Hikai noticed the movement of the people in the village outside the window, ran to the window, and saw many villagers gathered together. It seems that something happened in the village. End of this chapter, chapter 33. Action failed. Chapter 33 action failed. What's the matter? Trap Shadow also stood up and opened the window. Go and have a look. Trap Shadow said to Umbu next to him. Yes. Umbu answered and jumped out of the window all the way to the place where the villagers gathered and saw 3 corpses. Someone has come in. Umbu's pupils dilated under the mask, and he panicked, and then quickly returned. Arrived at the Mieying building. Lord Trap Shadow, someone has sneaked in. There are 3 corpses of genin over there. Umbu hurriedly reported to Trap Shadow. What? Okita, quickly find the person. Xiaoying was also taken aback, and quickly made people feel that Okita was the joinin next to Kai, and he was also a perception ninja. Okita immediately raised and began to perceive outwards, but he immediately raised his head, yes, at the door. Okita turned his head and looked at the door of Mieying's office. After Yin Xiang dealt with the body just now, he ran to the door of Mieying's office and kept listening to the situation inside. As soon as he was about to run, he was sensed. The sensed Yin Xiang immediately used Flying Thunder God and moved to Mihua village. Next to Kanai in the corner, Yin Xiangbu was not planning to retreat now. He also wanted to kill the remaining 6 genin. How many people? The trapping was immediately ready for battle. Just one, it's gone. Okita was stunned for a moment and even suspected that he felt wrong. But no, there was indeed a group of chakra equivalent to the joint at the door just now. In such a small country, Yin Xiang is comparable to the chakra of Chunin and Konoha, and here is comparable to the chakra of Jonin, which shows how declining this small country is. Gone. Hikai frowned, not understanding what he meant. The moment I sensed him, he disappeared. Okita nodded and said, "Could it be space ninjutsu?" Umbu behind the shadow said, and a few people were flustered when he said this, let alone space ninjutsu. It is very difficult for them to come up with an S-rank ninjutsu. And Yin Xiang raised his hand, and a Lei Dun Kunwu blessed by Feng Dun was comparable to a level ninjutsu. Go out and find someone. Trap jumped out of the window directly. After the 4 people looked at each other, they also followed. For a while, the Mihua village was very lively. Yin Xiang was looking for 6 people, and 5 people were looking for Yin Xiang. I found it. A young voice suddenly came from behind Yin Xiang. It was a girl, and there were 5 genin next to her. That girl was a perception ninja. I brought it to the door myself. Yin Xiang changed back to his own appearance and rushed up with a stride. Seeing this, the 5 shaman also took out Kunwu to attack Yin Xiang. Yin went up and kicked a genin, escaping a genin's kunai, and then punched and opened another genin, snatched the kunai in his hand, and turned around to block the 2 kunai behind him. Kicked the other genin who was attacking from behind, and then pushed away the 2 kunai with his hands, and took the lives of 2 genin with a single stroke. Everything is so smooth, without any delay. The 3 lower ninjas on the ground and the perceptive female ninja are all stunned. What kind of movement is this? Lei Dun. Yin Xiang slipped out of his sleeve and threw it directly at the perceiving female ninja. Although the ninja saw it, she couldn't react and was directly stabbed by Lei Dun Kou's throat. He fell to the ground with wide eyes. The 3 men who were still lying on the ground saw this and were too frightened to move. The people on the street were so frightened that they hid for a long time. Just when Yin Xiang was about to kill them, they were stopped. Stop! Okita's voice came from behind Yin Xiang, and at the same time a sword slashed from Yin Xiang's head. Yin Xiang turned his head, glanced at Okita unhappy, then raised his finger. Just as the sword was about to strike Yin Xiang's head, Yin Xiang turned into a black flash and disappeared in front of him. Space. Space ninjutsu. Using Flying Thunder God, In Xiang had already returned to the vicinity of the cave and then half-kneeled under the tree, picking up the kunai on the ground. With In Xiang's current chakra volume, he could use Flying Thunder God 6 times, which was consumed by previous battles. A lot went to Honeyflower Village and consumed it again, and later replenished some chakra and used it in battle. After that, Okita sensed that he used the Flying Thunder God again, which consumed a lot of chakra, so in the final battle, In Xiang chose to use physical techniques to kill them. This time, the Flying Thunder God was In Xiang's last chakra. The action failed. In Xiang put away the kunai and said in a low voice, failing to kill the 3 shaman. It was already a failure for In Xiang, and he may not know that his actions caused a problem in Mihua Village. What a commotion! The corpses of Shimonin were found in every corner, and there were 6 corpses lying down at the gate, which was already very scary. In Xiang stood up after swallowing a ration pill and walked to the cave. It was already late at night. When he got to the cave, he met Xiao Li, who was on guard. In Xiang, you're back. How are you? You're not hurt. Xiao Li walked out of the cave when he saw that it was In Xiang. No. In Xiang shook his head. Are they all asleep? Not yet. Xiao Li shook his head. Yeah. In Xiang also nodded and walked in. I'm back, In Xiang whispered when he walked in front of everyone, then sat down against the wall and slowly exhaled. How's it going? The 3rd generation looked at In Xiang and said, this kid went fast and came back fast. He originally thought that he would not be back until tomorrow afternoon at least. The result is not ideal. There's still 1 Ming, 2 Umbu, 2 Shangnin in the village, and 1 Shangnin is called Okita, who is a perception ninja. There are still 3 lower ninjas left. This time, I only killed 15 lower ninjas. The chakra was insufficient, and when Okita discovered it again, he retreated. We were originally going to face dozens of ninjas this time. Under your plan, and after this operation, there are only 8 ninjas left. It's amazing. Li admires In Xiang, who is thoughtful, takes every step of the way, has a strong fighting ability, and has such a strong ability to sneak in. End of this chapter, Chapter 34, Return to Konoha. Chapter 34 returns to Konoha. I'm going to rest. I'm too tired. In Xiang waved his hand and lay on the ground ready to sleep. At the same time, he thought that the bed was much more comfortable. Let's rest too. We don't have to rest tomorrow. Just go directly to capture Mihua Village. Sandai set aside. Since there are only 8 people left in the village, they can just deal with it all at once. The people in Ishan Cave also began to rest, leaving Xiao Li to stay for the first night. It was very quiet here, but Mihua Village was different. The whole was in a panic. There were 8 people sitting in Mieying's office, which is the country of stuffing. There are only 8 ninjas left, and now all 8 are very nervous. Especially the 3 genin. They were so frightened that they trembled and couldn't stop. Thinking about the man who rushed in and killed 15 genin, they were scared. If it wasn't for Okitagami's timely arrival, they would be dead now. According to the information, the other party has 5 ninjas and 2 shangnin. The only way we can now is to attack them tonight and try to kill them. Okita said to the frame. What if I can't beat it? Hikai said. When he saw the young ninja using space ninjutsu today, his perception of a big country had already changed. A child could actually use space ninjutsu. What concept? If one child can use space ninjutsu, what about the other jounin? He may have racked his brains to think that Kai is a ninja who could distort space. We must go tonight. If we go tonight, there is still some chance. If we don't go tonight, tomorrow will probably be the end of our lives. Trag said they never thought of running away. As a ninja, especially as the trap of a country, they cannot escape. Then let's go now. Okita was ready. Trap stood up. Then, how about us? Asked Shimonin, who was sitting beside him. You can stay in the village. You won't be able to help if you go. Hanging glanced at them and said, and then the figures of the 5 people disappeared into the office, and the 5 people ran all the way to the cave where In Xiang and others were. When they arrived, Ningxi was on a shift. When Ningxi was on duty, his eyes were always open, and he was highly alert to the outside world. When the 5 people approached, Ningji quickly found the 5 groups of powerful chakras. Mr. Kai, Mr. Kai. Ningzi ran to wake up Kai immediately. The enemy attack. Wake up, Ningzi shouted to everyone in the cave. Everyone's sleep was very light. Ningzi shouted after a bang. Everyone woke up. Only Yin Xiang got up and glanced at it, and then fell asleep again. The third generation said that he did not need to participate in the subsequent actions. Actually chose to take the initiative to attack. Sandai smiled, and then led everyone out of the cave. At this time, Sandai still maintained the appearance of Lugio. The matter of Sandai Hokage leaving the village can't be spread. I hope everything is on Lugio's side. All good. When a few people came out, the trapping shadow had already brought them to the entrance of the cave, and the 2 sides just touched each other. The trapping has been done by himself. Yamaha stood behind Lugio and said, at this time, Lugio Kai Yamaha Niji, Xiao Li, Tian Tian, Shan Shun, 7 people. Yamaha, you really didn't want to join in. Tracing stood at the front and looked at Yamaha. Of course not, and it's not just me. Yamaha smiled, caught in the shadow for a moment, then looked back at Hakai, who just smiled, and then moved to Yamaha's side. Originally, we were waiting for the opportunity to kill you both internally and externally. Now it's totally unnecessary, Hikai said with a cowardly shoulder. In circle, Lugio waved his hand, and a few people rushed to surround the 4 ninjas. The next morning, Yin Xiang walked out of the cave, stretched out, and saw a mess outside. There was no one in and out of the cave. These guys are really just throw me in the cave by myself. What if someone else attacks me? Yin Xiang pouted and said, not only Lugio and the others, but even me Ji was gone. There are 3 generations in Yin Xiang who would not suspect that something happened to them. They must have gone to Mihua village after finishing the matter. But it seems that I really slept well last night. They didn't even notice that they packed up and left themselves. It seems that they fell into a deep sleep. They slept very deeply last night. Yin Xiang also packed up his things and went directly to the beach, waiting beside the boat for them to come back. After waiting for a while, Lugio and the others really came back. Yo, you guys are back. Yin Xiangxin greeted them and said, you're awake. I'm going to leave you here and let's go by ourselves. The 3 generations walked up and said to Yin Xiang. Yin Xiang's smile froze on his face. What did this guy want to do? Should he thank himself for coming to the boat first instead of waiting for them in the cave? Is everything finished? Yin Xiang asked, looking at Ningzi. Ningzi nodded. Tang Ying was captured, and the bounty of 3 million taels was paid. We bought some supplies and used them on the way back. Great, I can finally go back. Yin Xiang exhaled. The task is finally over. It will take a few days to go back, and this task took almost a month to complete. The 3rd generation tore off the barrier. Everyone got on the boat and began to return to Konoha. The waterway for 2 days could not be changed, but this time there was no such thing as a hindrance in the land route, and a few ninjas ran very fast. He returned to Konoha and left Konoha for 20 days. When everyone came back, Konoha didn't change much, and Lugio's matter was not revealed. Several people returned to Hokage's office to summarize the mission. When the 3rd generation returned to the office, Lugio in the office. He changed back to his own appearance and stood beside Yin Xiang. I swear I'll never pretend to be Hokage again. It's really troublesome. In the past 20 days, Shikaku, the Hokage, has been very troubled. There is no need to write this report. The 3rd generation sat back to his seat. In this mission, Bofeng Yin Xiang was able to discover my true identity and had excellent insight. He had never killed anyone, but was determined to annihilate local ninjas. The ninjas in the village have excellent infiltration ability. From the moment they enter the country of honey, they have designated a mission plan and let the enemy step into the plan. The plan is meticulous and the mind is excellent. The 3 generations are full of praise when they look at Yin Xiang. Yin Xiang is the best performer in this mission. End of this chapter, Chapter 35, the beginning of the Chunin exam. Chapter 35, the beginning of the Chunin exam. The more the 3 generations look at Yin Xiang, the more they like it. Children like Yin Xiang can stand out in the Warring States period. They can kill themselves at a young age, just like Kakashi, even better than Kakashi. Great as a kid. 3 generations have won awards. Inseong also said modestly. This quest is counted as an S-level quest. After that, go to collect the bounty for this quest. Inseong will learn seal art from me in the future and be regarded as my apprentice. Would you like to? The third generation looked at Inseong and said. Inseong nodded and agreed. Then don't I need to take Inseong in the future? Lu Jiu asked aside, and he had already taken Inseong for a year before he knew it. Inseong's thinking was clear and the plan was meticulous. Lu Jiu was on this point. It's a credit, and I can't give a secret technique to Inseong, but Lu Jiu still gave Inseong a little bit of his other aspects. Well, Inseong will follow me from tomorrow. Sandai nodded. Okay, let's go back and have a good rest. Sandai said to everyone. After the three generations finished speaking, everyone went out. Speaking of which, the Chunin exam is about to start. Shikaku has been dealing with Naruto affairs recently, but he has dealt with a Chunin exam, which will start soon. Really? You must have showdown with me then. Inseong. Shaoli shouted to Inseong after hearing this. If we can meet, we will have a showdown with you. Inseong smiled and nodded, but his heart was a little bitter. Doesn't that mean that the three generations are going to die? Then this sealing technique has not been learned yet. Inseong sighed. Even if Orochimaru came, he wouldn't be able to control himself. How could he be Orochimaru's opponent? Then I'll go home and rest first, Mr. Lu Jiu. Inseong said to Lu Jiu. Well, you can come and report to the third generation from tomorrow. Lu Jiu nodded and said. Okay. Inseong nodded and left, but he was not in a hurry to go home. It was the afternoon. Inseong went straight to Ao Ramen and ate the ramen before going home. He went home and took off his dirty clothes. After taking a shower, I lay comfortably on the bed. After a good night's sleep, Inseong came to Hokage's office after breakfast and knocked on the door. Komein. Sandai's voice came from inside, and Inseong pushed the door and walked in. Sandai, I'll report. Well, call me teacher in the future. These scrolls were sorted out yesterday, and they will explain the use of sealing techniques. You should be able to understand them. Yeah. Inseong nodded, then sat down on the sofa beside him and began to study the seal technique. It is much easier for the third generation to write these spells in vernacular. They're all studying the sealing technique, but they are just struggling to understand the spell seal. Now the three generations have written down the arrangement of the mantra seals in vernacular, and Inseong understands it. Hands together, the seal of evil law. Inseong patted the table in front of him with his hand, and there were lines of curse seals on the table, and Inseong used the seal technique. Oh, has the research meeting been done? Sure enough, he is a genius. The third generation also saw Inseong's actions and set aside. I've been studying it for 10 years, and now the spell is written so clearly. If I still don't understand it, it would be a shame. Inseong said with a smile, then took out a scroll and sealed it again on his hand, the seal of fire. Inseong slapped the scroll, and the blank page on the scroll showed a seal. Looks like you've done your research. I'll teach you some sealing techniques in person. Now you can go out for a walk. I'm going to hold a meeting. The three generations stood up and said to Inseong, Is it about the Chunin exam? Inseong said, looking at Sandai, who nodded, The Chunin exam will be in a week. With your strength, you don't need to worry at all. Okay, I understand. Inseong nodded and walked out of the office. This time, he understood the spell seal from the third generation. After 10 years of research, the sealing technique has finally made progress. Countless drills are now. Finally, Inseong was very happy to be able to display it. Walking on the street, Inseong found that there were many more ninjas who were not Konoha. It seemed that those ninjas from other countries had already come. For figures ran quickly from Inseong's side, shouting. Inseong greeted Naruto when he saw it was Naruto, but Naruto didn't seem to notice Inseong and directly run over, and then Sakura also ran over. It seems that Sakura is chasing them. Inseong was curious, so he followed up. After a turn, he found that Konohamaru was being held by someone. Naruto, Sakura, and others stood by anxiously. Call out. It hurts so bad, you stinky brat. The man with the black hat painted on his face and carrying Konohamaru said, This man is Kankuro, and there is Temari behind him. I told you to stop. Be careful and be disciplined for a while. Temari said behind Kankuro. I'm sorry, it's all about me. Konohamaru bumped into that person because Sakura chased them, so Sakura apologized while she was thinking, who are these people? Hey, I told you to let go. Naruto shouted at him. Kankuro noticed the Konoha forehead guard on Naruto's head and knew that he was Konoha's genin. Before the annoying guys come, let's play with you guys. Kankuro said with Konohamaru. Kanabamaru was very uncomfortable when he was beaten by Kankuro. He kicked Kankuro while shouting to let go. Now Kankuro had more strength. Naruto finally couldn't take it anymore and rushed up. In the end, he fell to the ground. Kankuro is a puppet master. He tripped Naruto with a chakra wire. Naruto had never seen the puppet master, so he naturally didn't know what happened to him. Originally, In Xiang stood aside with the idea of watching a good show, but now that Naruto was bullied, he couldn't bear it anymore, so he threw out and drew a long line on Kankuro's wrist. The wound, his hand also loosened, and Konohamaru sat on the ground with one buttocks. What are you doing at Konoha, you guy with a face full of paint? In Xiang slowly walked over from behind, looking at Kankuro with murderous eyes. Kankuro saw In Xiang's eyes and took a step back unconsciously. What kind of murderous intent is this? At this time, another stone hit Kankuro's hand, and Kankuro's wrist was in pain again, and everyone looked at the tree. What are you doing in someone else's village? Said Sasuke on the tree. End of this chapter. Chapter 36. The Chunin exam begins. Chapter 36. The Chunin exam begins. In Xiang, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura were overjoyed when they saw the two of them. Naruto was happy that In Xiang was finally back, and Sakura was happy that both of them were handsome. Kankuro, stop being embarrassing. A voice suddenly came from behind Sasuke, the guy who lost the village. Except for In Xiang, everyone was taken aback by this sudden appearance. At the same time, Sandai had gathered all the Junin. I'm not calling you here for anything else. You should understand when you see the people gathered. Sandai looked at the ninja below and said, the time has come. Kakashi said first. I've already reported it to other countries. After all, I see ninjas from other countries from time to time in the village. Asma continued. Then, when is it? Hong followed Asma. 1 week later. Sandai said, that's really urgent. Although Kakashi said that he was in a hurry, there was no sense of urgency in his tone. Huh. Sandai exhaled a puff of smoke. Then it is officially announced that from today, 7 days later, on July 1st, the Chunin selection test will officially begin. In Xiang here, I know. I understand, sorry. Kankuro looked up at the man on the tree and said, very frightened, but then he looked at In Xiang in fear. The man's murderous aura seems heavier than him. I'm really sorry for you guys. Gaara looked at In Xiang and said, at the same time thinking to himself, Kunai throws so accurately. It looks like he throws it casually. His eyes are full of murderous intent. This guy, very powerful. And this person. He then looked at Sasuke again. This guy, his eyes are really annoying. Sasuke also looked at him, thinking in his heart, wow. Gaara turned into sand and went from the tree to the front of Kankuro and Temari. Standing in front of In Xiang, Sasuke also stood up from the tree. Let's go, we didn't come here to play. Gaara is right, Kankuro and Temari said, and then the three turned around and left. Stop! Sakura ran up at this time and stopped them. The three stopped but didn't look back. What? Temari said with her back to Sakura. From the perspective of the forehead, you are the ninjas of the Sandine Ninja Village. It is true that the country of fire and the country of wind are allies, but the treaty should prohibit ninjas from entering and leaving each other's country at will. State your purpose, and we will according to the situation. Sakura. In Xiang stopped Sakura, so he didn't continue talking, and the three of Gaara also looked back at Sakura. Because of the Chunin exam, they came to participate in the Chunin selection exam. In Xiang said, well, that's it. Temari nodded, and the three of them turned back and continued on their way. Hey, the Chunin exam, what is that? Naruto looked at In Xiang and asked. At this time, Sasuke jumped down from the tree. Hey, what's the name of that over there? Sasuke said to Gaara, and others shouted back. Mimi. Temari turned around and asked with a blushing face. It's not you, the one with the gourd next to you. Sasuke said to Maru. Gaara turned his head, I'm Gara from Sand Falls, and I'm also a little interested in you, your name. Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke replied. The two looked at each other briefly, and then Gara looked at In Xiang. How about you? Bolsame Yin Xiang. In Xiang said lightly. What about me? What about me? Naruto jumped out from In Xiang's side and shouted. Gara glanced at him and said, not interested. After finished speaking, a few people turned around and left. Sasuke also looked back at In Xiang. He didn't expect that the person who was driven away from the lake by himself would be so strong. What happened to the murderous look in his eyes? I said, Konoha Maru, am I really that weak? Naruto crouched on the ground and said, lost. I'm still weaker than Big Brother Sasuke. Konoha Maru squatted in front of Naruto and said, Naruto went crazy after hearing it. On another tree on the other side, there are 3 other people. It's Inrin. What do you think? A male ninja standing said to the ninja sitting in the middle. Although I don't think it's a big deal. The 2 black-haired people in Konoha and the one from Shane Backgord. Those 3 people should pay attention. The sitting ninja said, it's over there. In Xiang suddenly looked towards them, startling the 3 of them. Naruto and the others followed In Xiang's line of sight, only to discover them, dare to take another look. In Xiang stands still and say, I'll tear you apart. In the second half of the sentence, In Xiang's voice came from behind them. What when? The 3 of them turned around in astonishment, only to find that In Xiang was already behind them. So fast. Sasuke also widened his eyes, looking at In Xiang's previous position. There was nothing. What a quick turn. Let's go now. In Run, who took the lead, ran away quickly, and the other 2 quickly followed. In Xiang returned to his original position. Even if In Xiang came again, Sasuke still didn't see clearly In Xiang was in the end. How did you get here? 3 generations are here. Then, when the Chunin selection test is about to start, please first ask the person in charge of the newcomer to come forward. Sanai said while sitting on the chair. After that, Kakashi, Red, and Asuma stepped forward. How about it? The ninjas you've handled, are there any genin who are recommended to take the exam in this exam? The 3rd generation looked at them and said, of course, needless to say, in form, only the genin who has completed more than 8 tasks. Anyone can take the exam based on a recommendation of one of your members, although it usually requires doubling the task to have enough experience to take it. Then, start with Kakashi. The 3rd generation looked at Kakashi and said, the 7th class led by Kakashi, Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, in the name of Kakashi Hitaki, recommend them to take the Chunin selection test. The 8th class led by Red, Hinata, Inazukiya, Shino Oil Girl, the above 3, in the name of my Sunset Red, are recommended to join the same as the left. Kakashi stood on the left of the Red, so it is said to be the same as the left. Same. The 10th class led by Asuma, Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamu, Akimichi Choji, the above 3, in the name of my Suratobi Asuma, are recommended to join the same as the left. Recommended by all 3. The rookie Shimonin actually took the Chunin exam. It hasn't been like this for 5 years. The next Chunin members all started to discuss. Wait a minute. Irika hurriedly stood up and shouted. What's the matter, Irika? The 3 generations looked at Irika and said, and the 3 of Kakashi also turned their heads. End of this chapter, Chapter 37. Chunin Exam 1. Chapter 37 Chunin Exam 1. Lord Okage, please listen to me, although it may be a bit of a nosy, but the 9 listed just now are my students at the ninja school, and indeed all of them are very talented people, but it's still too early. Irika said anxiously, you should gain more experience through actual combat before letting them take the exam. When I became a Chunin, I was 6 years younger than the current Naruto. Kakashi's words pretended to be forced. Naruto is different from you. Irika shouted at Kakashi. Are you trying to destroy that child? Irika also cared so much about these students that she would do this at this time. Stand out. When performing important tasks, those guys are always complaining, making them suffer a little bit, and I'm very interested, and it seems interesting to destroy them. Kakashi's tone was still very flat. You, what did you say? Irika broke down in cold sweat. Okay, this is just a joke. Kakashi said, Irika-sensei, I understand what you want to say. It's inevitable to be angry, but Kakashi, don't say any more. As if guessing that Kakashi said something nice afterward, Hong said aside, "It's useless to say more. Those guys are no longer your students. They are now my subordinates. Really, they're all troublesome guys." Asma thought to himself with the cigarette in his mouth. Hong sighed silently, but he still said it. But the public selection test is also called. Irika was interrupted before he finished speaking. Irika, it's not that I don't understand what you're trying to say. Sandai said, 3 generations of Hokage-sama. Irika looked at the 3 generations. Therefore, let's prepare a special preliminary exam for the newcomers this time. Sandai said, In Xiang, when did you come back? In Xiang was walking on the street with Naruto. I just came back yesterday for a long-term mission. Let's go. I'll treat you to ramen. In Xiang has been studying those scrolls for 3 generations from morning to afternoon, and he still hasn't had time to eat. The 3rd generation is not badly known as the Doctor of Ninjutsu. After reading the description of the 3rd generation, In Xiang was suddenly enlightened and mastered the sealing technique that has plagued him for 10 years. Okay. Naruto was very happy when he heard that In Xiang wanted to treat himself to ramen, and the two went to Yao Ramen together. Naruto, the Chunin exam is very dangerous. It's not a nonsense. You have to protect your own safety. The two were eating ramen, and In Xiang said to Naruto that this guy's appearance was as ugly as ever. Oh, don't worry, Naruto said while eating. The words in his mouth became unclear, and In Xiang could barely understand what he was saying. In Xiang shook his head helplessly, then smiled. Naruto, as long as you know that I will be on your side no matter what. In Xiang looked at Naruto and thought to himself, then continued to eat his noodles and left after the two of them finished eating. Okay, you go back. Remember to practice hard, In Xiang said to Naruto. Okay, bye. Naruto nodded, then waved his hand and left. In Xiang did not go home directly, but came to Sandai. Teacher, what about my future tasks? In Xiang said, sitting on the sofa beside Sandai's office. You don't have to do tasks in the future. Just follow me and listen to my dispatch. Sandai said while processing the documents. Then, what about my money? I won't get the money if I don't do the task. In Xiang pouted and said. The 3 generations were also very helpless to In Xiang, a financial fan. I will pay you a salary every month. Good idea. In Xiang nodded but sighed in his heart. You can't even pay me the first month's salary. This is the application form for the Chunin exam. Please fill it out. The 3rd generation put a form on his desk. In Xiang walked over, picked up a pen, and filled out the form. Okay, go back. I will take the time to teach you some ninjutsu during these 7 days. The 3rd generation said to In Xiang. In Xiang looked at the sky outside. It was already dark. Teacher, you also go back early. In Xiang nodded, and then said to Sandai, who also nodded, and In Xiang left. In the next few days, In Xiang spent all his training, and the 3 generations would occasionally send shadow clones to teach In Xiang some wind and thunder ninjutsu. In Xiang knew about wind and thunder ninjutsu at a glance. As long as he practiced it later, it would be fine. He also learned some sealing techniques and enchantment techniques, and In Xiang's strength has also grown linearly these days. As for the other 9 newcomers, after being tested by Irika, they found that they have really grown a lot and passed the special test. Until this day, 7 days later, the first exam, which started at the ninja school, was a written exam. However, the door of the classroom was crowded with people. In Xiang stood in the crowd and did not stand out, only to see Xiao Li and Tian Tian being pushed to the ground by the 2 ninjas at the door of the classroom, and they were still begging the ninjas at the door to let them in. But this classroom is obviously an illusion, and this is only the 2nd floor. With Niji's eyes, they won't fail to see that this is an illusion, so they're just acting, making everyone present feel that they are weak, and they will come to the door by themselves when the exam is over. That's too much, said someone in the crowd. What did you say? Listen, this is our tenderness. The Chunin exam is a big difficulty, said a ninja at the door. We've seen a lot of people who gave up being a ninja just because they took this exam, and people who were depressed and couldn't cheer up. Another ninja said. Furthermore, Chunon's words are at the level of the troop captain. The mission fails, and the subordinates die. This is all the captain's responsibility. Can you kiddos afford that? For those who can't pass the exam, is there any problem with keeping them closed here? That's right, but I still have to go. Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura walked over from one side. Sasuke said. Sakura looked very depressed. Then this barrier created by illusion should be removed quickly. I want to go up to the 3rd floor. Sasuke took 2 steps forward and said, these Naruto groups are in the limelight. In Xiong thought to himself, if this happened, someone would notice their group. Oh, you noticed it, said the ninja in front of the door. End of this chapter, Chapter 38. Chunin Exam 2, Chapter 38 Chunin Exam 2. Sakura, how is it? You should have noticed it first. Sasuke also saw that Sakura was depressed and had to cheer her up, so she started with illusions to cheer her up. Sakura was stunned after hearing this. Your analytical skills and proficient in illusion are the best in our class, Sasuke said. Sasuke, thank you. Sakura also reacted. It was Sasuke who cheered her up again, whispered in his mouth, and then immediately cheered up. Of course, I have noticed it long ago, because this is the 2nd floor. What? Yeah. Naruto nodded in cooperation, and the 301 in the classroom also changed to 201. It's very powerful, but if you can see through it, right? After the ninja at the door finished speaking, he turned around and shot at Sasuke. Of course, Sasuke didn't counsel him and kicked him out. Just as the two of them were about to kick their feet together, Shaoli moved and instantly went up and grabbed their ankles. This guy is so fast. He's completely different from when he was beaten just now. Sakura waited until her eyes thought to herself, stop my kick, what? This guy has chakra in his hand. Sasuke was also surprised. The man in front of him obviously didn't have any chakra in his hand, but he could block his kick. Hey, it's not the same as what you said. Niji and Tian came up. Didn't you say that you don't want to attract the attention of others, and thus be alerted by others? But Shaoli looked at Shao Sakura, clenched his fist, and his face suddenly turned red. This guy. In Xiong smiled and shook his head. This time again. Tian also shook his head, and this plan failed again. Shaoli walked up to Shao Ing step by step. My name is Lockley. Your name is Shao Ing. Please get in touch with me. I will protect you until I die. Shaoli raised his eyebrows. Thumb said, absolutely not. Sakura said word by word with black lines all over her head. What? Shaoli was immediately hit. Your eyebrows are too thick. Sakura continued. I was hit. Shaoli lowered his head. Ha 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 ha. Shaoli, what are you doing? The juniors won't let go. In Xiong walked out of the crowd with a smile. And now everyone noticed In Xiong, the man in black. In Xiong. Seeing In Xiong every day, he walked to In Xiong's side, and Niji followed. Hey, the guy over there, sign up. Niji said to Sasuke, shouldn't you ask for someone's name first? Assistant put in his pocket and looked back at Niji. Hey, don't be so depressed. In Xiong patted the depressed Shao Li on the shoulder. You're a newcomer. How old are you this year? Niji replied nonchalantly, and he put his hands in his pockets. I have no obligation to answer you. Sasuke said. What? Nijike had never been refuted like this before, and then Sasuke turned around and left. Naruto and Shaoli were standing beside the wall with their hands on the wall. They were very disappointed. Are the eyebrows too thick? Shaoli said. Nothing special. Naruto said. Someone else asked Sasuke's name just now, but no one asked him. You too. In Xiong raised his eyebrows. Okay, Sasuke, Naruto, let's go. Sakura regained her energy and said to Sasuke and Naruto, and then they went up to the 3rd floor first. In Sasuke's mind, 4 figures appeared. In Xiong, Niji, Shaoli, and Gaara, who he thought was a strong enemy. Do you care about that child? Tian said to Niji, referring to Sasuke. Humph. Ningxi snorted coldly and walked forward, pulling In Xiong to go up to the 3rd floor every day. Although Tian was pulling him, In Xiong didn't resist at all. Li, you're leaving. What are you doing? Looking back at Tian, Shaoli was still standing still. You guys go first. I still have something I want to confirm. Shaoli said to Tian, then turned and left. What is it? Tian looked at Yin Xiang and asked curiously. Probably challenge someone. Yin Xiang shrugged and said, and the three walked to the third floor together. I said, Yin Xiang, you are on a team alone. Will it be very dangerous at that time? Or let the four of us form a team together? Tian said to Yin Xiang as he walked. No, since the teacher decided that I will be on a team from the beginning, it proves that my strength can be against a team by myself. Don't worry, maybe I will take care of you at that time. Yin Xiang said with a smile. Really, don't look down on people like that. Neji was also known as a genius, so Yin Xiang felt very upset when he said that. Haha, just kidding. Yin Xiang waved his hand and said, Little Li, he must be attacking Sasuke. Tian didn't understand what Yin Xiang meant, but if he does this, Mr. Kai will teach him a lesson. Little Li has always wanted to challenge geniuses. If Yin Xiang said this, then he is indeed going to challenge Sasuke. Neji nodded as well. Just as Yin Xiang said, Shao Li really challenged Sasuke. Even if Sasuke opened the riding wheel, he couldn't avoid Shao Li's attack. In the end, he wanted to use the Shadow Dance Leaf to end Sasuke, but was finally stopped by Kai. At the same time, Shao Li also told him that Konoha's strongest genin was Yin Xiang, and he came here to challenge Yin Xiang, which also made Sasuke very unhappy with Yin Xiang, and even more unhappy with Shao Li. By the time Yin Xiang and the others arrived at the door of the classroom, Kai and Shao Li were already waiting here. The rule for this exam was that the entire group could only be qualified for the exam after arriving. After that, Yin Xiang and others entered the classroom. It was already full of people. Yin Xiang found a place for himself to sit down, and the ninjas from various ninja villages were amused. Yin Xiang sat by the window, and then Naruto and others also came, and the 9 newcomers of Konoha gathered at the door. Where's Yin Xiang? Where's Yin Xiang, who is said to be very strong? When you came over, he looked around, trying to find Yin Xiang. Not with us. Naruto shook his head. Is that Yin Xiang really strong? Sasuke said, looking at his teeth. Don't you know? Yin Xiang, who has completed the S-rank mission, is already very famous in Konoha, the disciple of the 3rd Hokage, the son of the 4th Hokage, the younger brother of Kakashi Hitaki, and the first genius of Konoha. Bofeng Yin Xiang. Yazai said to the crowd. Yin Xiang's record shocked everyone, and they finally knew a little about Yin Xiang. End of this chapter, Chapter 39. Chunin Exam 3. Chapter 39, Chunin Exam 3. At this time, they walked by a person. Do told Naruto and others that he had taken the Chunin exam 7 times, and then took out the ninja card, which was all the information he had collected. Pocket introduced Naruto and others about the public exam, saying that the real purpose of the Chunin exam is to test the strength of ninjas from other countries. Is there a card with detailed personal information? Sasuke asked, looking at the pocket. Yes. They all nodded. Is there any guy you care about? Yes. Sasuke's eyes became serious. Although the information of the candidates this time is not very complete, I have saved it, including yours, of course. Tell me about the information of the person you know you care about, no matter what it is, and I will give it to you. Look for it. Tu said, holding up his ninja card. Gaara of Sand Hidden, as well as Konoha's guy named Rock Lee, and Pufeng Inxiang. What? You even know the name, so it will be very fast. He laughed, and then took out 3 ninja cards. This. Show me, Sasuke said. Then, first of all, it's Rock Lee. Do put his hand on the ninja card, injected chakra, and Shao Li's message appeared on it. I am 1 year older than you. Mission experience, D 20 times, C 11 times, S grade once. The class teacher is Kai. This year, there's been an extraordinary improvement in physical skills, but other aspects are completely inadequate. Last year, he attracted attention as a very capable genin, but he did not participate in the Chunin exam. Like you, it was the first time to participate. Tian and Hyuga Niji. And then Gaara from Sand Falls, quest experience, 8 C levels and 1 B level. It's amazing. Has genin performed B level tasks? After seeing it, Kazuo said, because it's a ninja from another country, is a newcomer again. No more information. However, it seems that all missions came back unscathed. However, genin participated in the B-rank mission unscathed, so the S-rank mission of Rock Lee is... Shikamaru said with a frown. This is what I'm going to say next. Bofeng In Xiang, task experience 25 times for D grade, 20 times for C grade, 10 times for B grade, and once for S grade. In Xiang team once performed a B-level mission, which later became an S-level. I heard that in all S-level missions, all the plans were arranged by Bofeng In Xiang. Bofeng In Xiang used 5 ninjas to save a small country and annihilate a country's ninjas. What? Sasuke and the others were stunned. I know, he was away from Konoha for more than 20 days before, so he went to perform this mission. Naruto set aside. Ninjutsu and taijutsu are very good in both aspects. There are even 4 A-level ninjutsu created by themselves. The current teacher is the 3rd generation of Hokage, and the sealing technique has also made great progress. I haven't seen it in illusion yet. You guys, it's best not to provoke this person. Do's expression was very serious. Not only Naruto and the others, but also others were listening to what Do said. After seeing the picture on the shinobi card, they all looked at In Xiang, who was sitting by the window, while In Xiang was looking out the window, not knowing. Just ignore them. I even performed B-rank missions 10 times. Is this guy a monster? Tooth said, while looking at the ninja card. There are also self-created A-level ninjutsu for. Kabuto calmed down his mood, then took out the 4th ninja card. San 30 people, Yu 21 people, Kusanagi 15 people, Taki 12 people, Konoha 73 people, and Sound 3 people. This year also from many ninjas. The village sent many excellent ninjas to take the exam. But about the ninja village, because it is a small country ninja village that has just been established in recent years, there's almost no information about them. You put away the ninja card. In short, it is a ninja village with high ability. I always feel like I'm a little less confident. Hinata set aside after listening. It's all now, what are you talking about? Ino shouted to Hinata. In other words, the candidates gathered here are all. Yes, not only Gaara and Lee, but also Bofeng In Xiang. Everyone is the elite of the genin who were sent from various countries. So it's not that simple. Do nodded and said, Hey Naruto, don't be so nervous. Sakura looked at Naruto, who didn't speak, and thought he was nervous, so she was ready to go up to encourage him. Unexpectedly, Naruto shouted directly, pointing at the candidates present and shouting, I am Uzumaki Naruto. I will not lose to you. Do you understand? When Naruto shouted these words, Kakashi at the door smiled wryly. What are you doing, that guy? Ino immediately exploded, pointing at Naruto and shouting at Sakura. How could that guy become depressed, idiot? Sakura said secretly in her heart. This brat. In Xiang smiled by the window and shook his head. What is he trying to provoke everyone? Ino yelled, I'm refreshed now. Naruto said after shouting. Sasuke was still laughing. They were happy, but the other candidates were not happy. They all looked at them with murderous intent. Among them, there were I love the 3 of them. That guy, that's who he was at that time. Kankuro looked at Naruto and said, The weaker the dog, the louder the bark. Temari also said, Idiot. Tian said, It's really impressive. Hyuga Niji laughed. It's really bloody. Shaoli looked at them and said, Looks like they haven't taught them enoughly. Niji said to Shaoli. At the same time, the 3 of Yainen were also staring at them. Did you hear it? Say Inshur is a super small ninja village in a small country. What a pity. Let's play with them a little. Kin said. That's right. You're talking about us as useless ninjas. So let's add his information as well. Otokaku's ninjas are very cruel. Toph stared at them and said, Everyone, he's just joking. In any case, it's just an idiot talking about it. It's just a random guy talking casually. Please don't care. Sakura quickly waved her hands and said, while teaching Naruto, Shouting, Naruto is right. These people have nothing to be afraid of. In Xiang, who had been sitting by the window, spoke up, and everyone's eyes turned to In Xiang. If anyone disagrees, teach them a good lesson. It's over. In Xiang still looked out the window, not even looking at these ninjas. In the eyes of these ninjas, In Xiang just looked down on them. Have you transferred your hatred of Naruto to yourself? Sasuke frowned and looked at In Xiang. This was indeed In Xiang's plan. Instead of letting them top Naruto, let them focus on him. End of this chapter. Chapter 40. Chunin Exam 4. Chapter 40 Chunin Exam. 4. Yin Xiang's hatred transfer is useful. Many people just gave up Naruto and stared at Yin Xiang. Do you want to do it? Toth said. Let's do it. Sak said. And then Toss, Sak, and Kin went directly to Yin Xiang's side, which was a teleportation technique. Toth lifted his sleeves and was about to attack Yin Xiang with his weapon. Sak directly threw it with the always kunai first. Yin Xiang raised his hand and directly supported the two kunai with his hands. Sis punched him. Yin Xiang knew that Toth's weapon was a bit strange. It used sound waves to cause damage. He directly grabbed Toth's arm with a fist. Toth's eyes widened. After that, Yin Xiang even squeezed his hand bones directly, and Toth shouted in pain. Then Yin Xiang stood up, grabbed Toth's arm, and threw him on the Sasha who was about to attack. On coup, both of them flew out and hit the table. Next, Kin still attacked, and Yin Xiang's figure disappeared directly in front of her. When he reappeared, he had already used two kunai on Kin's neck, and some blood was flowing out. This is the beginning of Sark. Abandoned misery. I don't really want to hurt the pretty lady. Yin Xiang put his chin on Kin's shoulder and put against Kin's ear. Kin was too frightened by Yin Xiang's kou to move. Seconds. So fast. Naruto was stunned. It's not a speed that the naked eye can capture. Sasuke clenched his fist. This person really can't be provoked. After the others endured seeing Yin Xiang's hand, they all timidly looked away. This person is really strong. Gaara looked at Yin Xiang with complicated eyes. Ah, Yin Xiang is in the limelight again. The three of them said helplessly from aside, "Is this Bofeng Yin Xiang? So handsome." Ino's attribute was directly committed. "Let go. Let me go," Kin said tremblingly in Yin Xiang's arms. Yin Xiang shrugged, then threw the two kunwu out and stabbed them directly in Sak's thigh, and Sak also issued after screaming in pain. Yin Xiang let go of Kin and returned to his seat. "Quiet me all, you bastards." At this moment, a white mist appeared on the podium. After the white mist dissipated, a group of ninjas appeared on the podium. I've been waiting for a long time. This is the first time for the Chunin selection, the examiner, Sun Milk Ibushi. Ibushi stood on the podium and looked at the numerous lowers and said, and the three of Inrin left In with mutual support. To the side. "Guys of Inin." Abizi pointed to the three of Inin. "Don't mess with me before the exam. Do you want to be eliminated immediately? And Yin Xiang, it's too hard to attack. Really, if it wasn't for the exam, the three of them would be dead now. I hate Inren, you know," Yin Xiang said with a look of indifference. Since the Inren he met a year ago after that, Yin Xiang never saw Inren again. But the Sound Ninja was still not found. Ibis was one of the ninjas looking for the Sound Ninja information. Yin Xiang's words also made Toth's scalp tingle, and the other candidates were secretly glad that they didn't provoke him. This is also a good opportunity. Let me first make it clear that you are not allowed to fight privately without the examiner's permission. Even if the examiner allows you, you are not allowed to take actions that will kill the opponent. Those who dare to disobey this uncle will be eliminated immediately. Do you understand? The ninjas present were silent. Then start now. Chunin selects the first exam, submit your application form, and at the same time, accept this number plate. Ibizi raised a sign in his hand with one written on it. Sit in order by number, and then I will send out the questionnaire for the written test. Written test? Questionnaire. Questionnaire. Naruto looked puzzled until a Chunin raised the test paper in his hand. Writing test. Naruto shouted after seeing it. This is really a headache for him. Then everyone submitted the application form, and then took the number plate. Interestingly, Yin Xiang sat there and didn't move, and the other Xiao Ren looked at Yin Xiang and didn't dare to move. What are you looking at? Yin Xiang reluctantly stood up from his seat and submitted the application form. Then he got seat number 1 and sat down. After that, they went up and submitted the application form one after another and found their seats. After, we started to answer the questions. Looking at the test paper in his hand, Yin Xiang sighed. It has been a long time since he wrote, and now Juror still has to do the test paper, but the above questions are very simple for Yin Xiang, so he starts to answer directly. But other people are different. Looking at the things on the paper has a headache. In the first exam, there are several very important rules. I won't answer any of your questions after that, so listen to me. Ibushi tapped the blackboard with chalk and said. Then he started to write on the blackboard, "All of you, there are 10 points at the beginning of the test, and all 10 questions in the written test. Each question is 1 point, and then the points are deducted, and 1 point is deducted for one wrong question. 7 points. The second rule, whether is qualified or not, is calculated according to the total score of the 3-person team." Bump. Shao Sakura's head slammed into the table. Wait a minute. What does it mean based on the scores of 3 people? If Naruto fails the test, will he be out of the game? Shut up, Ibiza shouted to Sakura. This is for a reason. You shut up and listen to me. And if you understand, say the next most important rule. In the exam, once cheating and cheating-like behaviors are discovered by the invigilator, 2 points will be deducted once the behavior is discovered. That is to say, some people may have to withdraw from the exam before the final judgment. Anyone who cheats shamefully is self-defeating. Remember it clearly from me, and I will observe you at any time. An invigilator sitting on the side said. Anyway, I want to become a chunin. Since I am a ninja, I will test like a good ninja. Ibiza continued. Then if one person in the team gets 0 points, the whole team will be judged as unqualified. Sakura just thought in her heart that even if Naruto scored 0, as long as she and Sasuke were there, she would be able to bring the score back. And as a result, Ibiza said this. Naruto was stunned for a moment, and then he felt 2 murderous auras from Sakura and Sasuke. The other last question will be given 45 minutes after the start of the test. The test time is 1 hour. Let's start, Ibiza said, and everyone started to do the questions quickly. Wait a minute. In Xiang raised his hand, and everyone looked at In Xiang. I am the only one in my team. End of this chapter, Chapter 41. Chunin Exam 5. Chapter 41, Chunin Exam 5. Then it's only your score. Okay, don't talk anymore. Ibiza said to In Xiang, who nodded. Then I'm done. Everyone in the audience was stunned and looked at In Xiang. In Xiang stood up and put the test paper on the table. Even if there is no last question, I'll pass the test with 9 points. What? The invigilators were also taken aback. How did he come up with these questions? The questions of this exam are obviously not things that can be done by the genus. The real purpose is to test the intelligence gathering of the genus. Ability. There was someone who could answer the questions, and he even finished the questions while Ibis was speaking. Are you sure? Ibiza looked at In Xiang and said. Sure, In Xiang said. Okay. Then you can wait for the result. Ibiza walked up and took In Xiang's test paper and handed it to an invigilator, who began to check In Xiang's test paper. Other candidates also noticed the purpose of this exam and began to use their own means to cheat. Some people who were caught were immediately eliminated. Naturally, some people stood up to ask for evidence and were immediately suppressed by force. One after another, some people were kicked out, and In Xiang's test papers were also approved, all of which were correct. The methods of cheaters in the field, Niji's white eyes, Sasuke's riding wheel eyes, Shino's bugs, Tooth's dogs, Tenin's tricks, Gaara's third eye, Kankuro's puppet, Ino's the art of turning the heart, all kinds. In Xiang sighed. Being too smart is also a kind of loneliness. Although In Xiang already knew that he had taken it last, he still had to wait patiently. Finally, 45 minutes has passed, and the 10th question is about to be announced. Ibushi said that this is the rule of despair. First of all, you have to choose whether to answer this 10th question. If we have to choose, what if we don't answer the 10th question? Temari couldn't help it and set aside. If you don't choose, the candidate will be judged on the spot with 0 points. That is unqualified, of course. The 2 companions will also be eliminated together. How is this going? For this kind of thing, you must choose an answer. The rule of being eliminated together is just too messy. The candidates below were also fried. Then, there is another rule. If you choose to answer the question, but don't answer correctly, then the answer will be forever deprived of the qualification to take the Chunin exam. This is definitely a desperate rule. This is mental torture. If you choose to answer, if you don't answer correctly, you will not be able to take the Chunin exam from now on. If you don't answer, then this time the Chunin exam will be considered a failure. How can there be such a stupid rule? Yo immediately stood up and shouted at Ibushi. After all, There are guys here who have taken the Chunin exams many times. Ha! IBI laughed after hearing this. Your luck is too bad. I am the rule this year. And am I not going to give you a retreat? For those who don't have confidence, just choose not to be honest. Answer: take the test again next year or the year after. Xiao Ying's heart was very flustered. How could it be? That is to say, as long as one of the three people chooses not to answer, the three of them will be eliminated together. It's unlucky to choose which one. This kind of thing is impossible for a normal person to choose. Xiao Sakura's cold sweat broke down. Then, let's start this 10th question. Those who don't answer, please raise your hand. And after confirming the number, please go out from here. Ibizi said, while looking at the candidates present. His eyes swept over everyone. Everyone is struggling now. In Xiang leaned on the chair with his arms in his arms. He had no teammates, only himself. For him, the pressure was much less, and he was confident to answer correctly. After that, there were still many people who raised their hands one after another and left the examination room. In fact, Xiaoying had already figured it out at this time. Even if Naruto raised his hand, she would not blame Naruto, but Naruto did not. Raise your hand. Just as Sakura was about to raise her hand for Naruto, Naruto raised his hand. And after a while, Naruto slapped his hand on the table and stood up. Don't underestimate me. I won't run away. I want to participate, even if I can only be a genin for the rest of my life. I will be a Hokage in one breath. It's fine. I'm not afraid at all. Naruto shouted at Ibizi and then sat down. I'll ask again. This is a choice to bet on your life. If you want to give up, take advantage of it now. Ibushi looked at Naruto and said, to carry out what I have said, this is my ninja way. After Naruto stood up to speak, everyone in the classroom, the anxiety in their hearts disappeared, and there were 79 people left, which was more than Ibiza expected. After Ibiza exchanged glances with the Chunin invigilators, he looked at the Chunin. Your determination is very good. Then, everyone who stays here in the first test, I judge you to pass. Naruto's hand softened and the pen fell on the table, which was unexpected. Wait a minute. What's going on here? What's the problem with the 10th question? Sakura stood up and looked at Ibizi. Ibizi's serious face finally smiled. Haha, this kind of thing has never existed since the beginning. If you really want to say it, the two choices just now are the 10th question. Wait a minute, Temari shouted from the side. Then what are the previous questions? Isn't it completely useless? It's not completely useless. The first 9 questions have completed the purpose of the exam, which is to test each of you's intelligence-gathering ability. Ibushi said, first of all, the main points of this exam have been suggested in the rules at the beginning. This method of deciding whether to pass or not in units of 3 people can put you under unimaginable pressure that will affect your teammates. I think that's what this exam is all about. Naruto pretended to say, but he didn't think of it at all. However, the question of this exam, of course, cannot be answered by you. Naturally, it will become like this. Most people in the venue will think of this. In order to get the score, you can only cheat. Therefore, this exam is based on cheating. Therefore, as the target of cheating, I picked 2 Chunin who knew all the answers and lurked among you from the beginning. It took me a lot of effort to find it. Someone said on the side. End of this chapter, Chapter 42, Chunin Exam 6. Chapter 42, Chunin Exam 6. It's so obvious. Who wouldn't find out, right, Hinata? Naruto said to Hinata beside him. That guy didn't notice it. Sasuke behind him saw that Naruto didn't notice this rule at all. However, the guy who only knows how to cheat by stupid methods will of course be eliminated. As for why, Ibizi took off his turban, revealing the hideous scar on his head. If there is something wrong with information, it will be more valuable than life. As in the mission and the battlefield, it is necessary to fight for life and compete with each other. When everyone saw the wound on Ibizi's head, they were all scared into a cold sweat. It's so miserable, burns, screw holes, knife wounds, and torture scars. Sasuke said, looking at the scars. Naruto swallowed a mouthful of saliva. In Xiang looked at the scars, and his heart tightened. The information obtained by the enemy or discovered by a third party is not necessarily the correct information. I hope you will remember this. Holding the wrong information in your hands will bring a fatal blow to your companions and the village. In this sense, we will let you collect information by making you cheat, and then select the poor guy. That's it. But I always find the last question a bit unacceptable. Temari muttered beside him. Could it be that you have to be eliminated before you can accept it? In-seong put his hand on Temari's shoulder and said softly, "What when?" Temari looked back. In-seong didn't know when he had moved from the first row to his side. Question 10 is the real purpose of the first exam. Ibizi continued regardless of In-seong's actions. What do you mean? Sakura asked. Let me explain whether you choose to accept or not to accept. I don't need to say, this is a choice that will make your heart suffer. Those who do not choose will be eliminated together with their peers. And those who choose to answer but answer incorrectly will be deprived of taking the test forever. Rights, which is actually a very dishonest question. Hey, let me go, Temari said to In-seong next to him with a blushing face, struggling lightly in In-seong's arms. You obviously don't want to. In-seong hugged a little tighter. No, what do you want? Temari was a little puzzled. I don't want me to let you go. In-seong's mouth curled slightly. The genius of Konoha, Bo Fong In-seong, turned out to be a pervert. Temari looked at In-seong and said jokingly, but luckily he was no longer struggling. Do different people have different opinions on me? Everyone has a lustful heart. If you don't like my lust, why would you let me put my arms around your shoulders? In-seong said with a smile. Then, how about choosing one of these two? Ibizi continued. Temari and In-seong also went to listen to Ibizi. Assuming you become a chunin, the content of the task is to seize secret documents, and you don't know the number, abilities, and other information of the enemy's ninja, and the enemy may set traps, then you accept or not accept this kind of task. You risk your own life and expose your companions to danger. Can you keep escaping such a dangerous task? The answer is no. There will be tasks that you must accept, no matter how dangerous it is. At this time, you can show your peers courage and the ability to break through difficult situations. This is the qualification that Chunin needs to have as a team captain. If in case a guy who doesn't even dare to gamble his own life, he will pin his hopes on next year or an uncertain future, a guy who is shaken inside and gives up opportunities like this guy. I don't think I'm qualified to be a Chunin. You who choose to answer the questions can be said to be the correct answerers of the 10th question, and will face the difficulties you may encounter in the future. You have already broken through the entrance. I wish everyone all the best in the next exam. Ibushi can also be regarded as a good lesson for this genin. In-seong had already returned to his seat, and it took Temari a long time to react. Looking at the back of In-seong in the first row, he seemed to have never been there before. Bump. At this time, something smashed in through the window, and fragments of the window flew into the classroom. Brush. 2 kunai were inserted into the ceiling of the classroom, and a black cloth appeared in front of everyone's eyes. I told you, now is not the time to be happy. A ninja with a ponytail and a brown trench coat with a broad chest appeared in front of the crowd. I am the examiner for the second exam, miter washing red beans. Her name was written on the black cloth. Let's go next. Next game. Come with me. Anko's appearance made all the genin members bewildered. After she finished speaking, the genin members were also silent for a while. Look at the atmosphere. Ibizi came out from behind the black cloth, and Hondo noticed that she was ignored and fell into embarrassment for a while. What are you doing? I always feel that this examiner is very similar to Naruto. Sakura complained in her heart. 79 people. There's still 26 teams left. What does one extra person mean? Hondo looked at Ibizi and said, this year's first exam is too soft. There are 3 more generations of disciples. There's only one person. There are many outstanding guys this year. 3 generations of disciples? Well, you will be eliminated to less than half in the second exam. Hondo's aura was completely different from when he first came in. It's really exciting. I'll talk about the details tomorrow. When I change the place, gather the venue and time, I'll ask your genin. For now, it's disbanded. After Hondo finished speaking, he left the classroom. They all left the classroom. TOS and the others quickly left the exam room to heal their injuries. They all endured the pain to finish the first exam. In-seong stretched out after walking out of the exam room. That guy Ibizi made everyone else panic. So Yin Xiang is not panic at all. End of this chapter. Chapter 43. Chunin Exam 7. Chapter 43 Chunin Exam 7. Early the next morning, all the ninjas who passed the exam came to the number 44 practice ground, the Forest of Death. This is the second exam venue, the 44th exercise venue, also known as the Forest of Death. Red Bean stood at the front and started to scare people. Indeed, this deep forest made people feel nervous when they looked at it. Afterwards, the Hanamura trio suddenly came and said that they were going to do school year news, so they wanted to interview, and Anko gave everyone a 10-minute break for the Hanamura trio to interview. After the interview, we can finally start the second exam. This place is called the Forest of Death, and you can experience it for yourself right away. Hondo smiled. This is the Forest of Death. You can experience it for yourself right away. No matter how you scare me, I'll be fine. I'm not afraid at all. Naruto started again. Really? You are so energetic. Hondo squinted his eyes and smiled, and then he scratched the sleeves of Kwai towards Naruto's face, but was blocked by Kwai in the air. Two suffering fell to the ground. Hurry up and start the exam. If you feel that scaring Xiaoning gives you a sense of accomplishment, it's better to change to another examiner. Yin Xiang said expressionlessly as he looked at Red Bean. Can I get it back to you? A man suddenly appeared behind Yin Xiang, with long hair, wearing a hat, sticking out his long tongue, and handing Kunwu from behind Yin Xiang to the front. This breath. Yin Xiang's back was cold. When did this person come here? And this breath was the same as the Yin Renren a year ago. Yin Xiang took over the kunai and looked back. It was the grass Renren pretending to be Orochimaru. So the sound ninja a year ago was actually Orochimaru? After Yin Xiang took the kunai, Orochimaru left and walked back. Hondo finally began to explain the rules. Then, before the second test starts, I will send this to you. Hondo took out a stack of paper from his arms. It's a consent form. Those who want to take the test must first sign here. Hondo said. Why? Naruto asked curiously. The exam is just the exam. Why do you need a prior consent form? Someone may die in the future. Regarding this, prior consent must be obtained. Otherwise, it will become my responsibility. Hondo laughed. Then the instructions for starting the second test, in simple terms, is to ask you to launch the Extreme Wild Survival Challenge again. As Anko said, he handed the consent form to Naruto at the front, and Naruto began to pass it backwards. First of all, follow the topographical sequence of this exercise field. Red Bean took out a scroll, and after opening it, there was a topographic map of the dead forest. The 44th exercise field is a circle surrounded by 44 locked entrances, with rivers and forests, with a tower in the middle, about 10 kilometers from the tower to the gate. Within this limited area, in the area of there will be a field survival project, the content of which is Everything Can Happen Scroll Battle. Hondo took out two scrolls, the Scroll of the Sky and the Scroll of the Earth. The Book of Heaven and the Book of Earth are the battles around these two scrolls. Of the 27 teams that passed the first test, 13 teams took half of them, the Book of Heaven, and the other 14 teams took the Book of Earth. I give each team a role, which in simple terms is to each other. What are the qualifications? Sasuke asked, looking at the red beans. Take the scrolls of the 2 volumes of Heaven and Earth, and the 3 of you will come to the center of the tower together. Hondo said. In other words, half of the 13 teams whose scrolls were taken away will be eliminated without a doubt. Sakura said. But within the time limit, the second exam, the time is 120 hours. Let you compete for 5 days. 5 days? Ino was taken aback. What about eating? Dinxi was also taken aback. Self-sufficiency. The wild is a natural treasure house, and there are enough ingredients. Adzuki said, while looking at Dingji. However, man-eating beasts and poisonous weeds are everywhere. 2 added. Furthermore, 13 teams, 39 qualified. This is impossible in the first place. Niji said, the distance of action will get longer every day, and the time to recover will get shorter and shorter. It's really serious. Shaoli smiled aside, showing his white teeth, also surrounded by enemies. You can't even neglect your precautions and get a good night's sleep. Sasuke also said, not only will some people be injured in the scroll battle, But there will also be people who can't stand the harshness of the field survival project and give up. Hondo said, "Well, can I give up halfway?" Shikamaru raised his hand and said, "As a rule, you are not allowed to give up in the middle. Please spend the 5 days in the forest." As expected, it's so troublesome, Shikamaru said with a sigh. Then, on the contrary, the conditions for being eliminated are: first, the team that cannot bring 3 people to the tower with 2 scrolls of heaven and earth within the specified time, and second, the team that loses its members or cannot move and then adds another one. The contents of the scrolls must not be read until they reach the tower. Then what if you watch it halfway through? Naruto asked. That is, when you see it, please imagine it yourself. Red Bean said, word by word. If you become a Chunin, you will also have the opportunity to access super secret documents. This is to see if you are trustworthy. The explanation is here. The 3 consent forms and scrolls are exchanged at the cabin over there. Hondo pointed to the cabin next to it. Then decide the entrance you're going to, and then set off with everyone. I'll give you a final piece of advice. Don't die. Hondo finally said with a sigh. After that, everyone went to exchange the scrolls. When they saw that In Xiang was the only one, the person who issued the scrolls was stunned for a while, and finally In Xiang got the scrolls at the behest of Hondo. But after In Xiang got the scroll, he shredded the scroll directly with the wind. It was a scroll of the earth. What does this mean? Hondo looked at In Xiang and asked. 27 teams, unbalanced. If I destroy this book of locality, the rest will be 13 books of heaven and 13 books of locality. I just need to solve the 2 teams in it. In Xiang said, dealing with the 2 teams, it's not a loss to be a disciple of the 3 generations of Hokage. The tone is really not small. Hondo said with a smile. After everyone got the scrolls, at 2 o'clock, everyone followed the person in charge to the designated location and set off together after 30 minutes. During this period, In Xiang did one thing, adding Flying Thor to a team of ninjas. Imprint. Because In Xiang didn't have any scrolls, so just grab a random team first. At the beginning of the exam, In Xiang used the Flying Thunder God to come beside them and let them die on the way. End of this chapter, Chapter 44. Chunin Exam 8. Chapter 44 Chunin Exam 8. Half an hour passed quickly, and the person in charge opened the door number 40 in front of In Xiang. After Hondo gave an order, In Xiang walked in slowly, and the others rushed in directly, because they knew that the more going forward is more advantageous. Flying Thunder God, In Xiang raised in front of the person in charge, and then disappeared in front of his eyes. Sora, Space Ninjutsu. When the person in charge saw it, his eyes were full of shock. In Xiang appeared directly behind a ninja, and at the same time, the Chidori in his hand pierced the ninja's heart. What? The 2 ninjas who were still alive were taken aback. Where did this guy suddenly appear? These 3 are Taki Shinobi's ninjas. Sorry, your luck is not very good. In Xiang stood up from the ground, and the ninja, who was imprinted by himself, was lying down on his feet. Damn, how dare you underestimate us? The 2 Taki Shinobi picked up kunai and charged towards In Xiang from 2 directions. Lei Dan. 2 kunai slipped out of In Xiang's left and right sleeves and flew out quickly. In the shock of the 2, they pierced their heads. Afterwards, In Xiang searched their bodies and found a volume of the Book of Heaven, and then also searched for some military ration pills and detonating charms, and took some of their kunai, and it was just the beginning. There was a scream in the forest at this time. In Xiang looked in the direction of the scream, and then smiled. If Orochimaru was not there, this exam would have been very interesting to me. This scream was made by the team of Ya, who used the blood-sucking insects in the forest to kill a team of ninjas. Naruto's side also started fighting. The other side was ranged shinobi, but there was only one person. He was quickly driven away by the 3 of Sasuke, but soon, Orochimaru came to the door. In Xiang quickly ran forward to the center of the forest, ready to take out the other team. And if In Xiang wanted to balance the team, he would have to take out the 3rd team. The first 2 teams were to get the scrolls, and the 3rd team to replace that team for myself. In Xiang soon approached another team, a team of grass ninjas. The 3 seemed to find In Xiang who was approaching them. They turned around and jumped back. Win done. Big breakthrough. The three of them together used a big breakthrough against In Xiang. Bump! In Xiang, who was attacked by the big breakthrough, turned into a piece of wood and disappeared before their eyes. Shadow, secret method. In Xiang used shadow secret method behind a tree, but there was no response. I forgot that this is a dense forest. Shadows can't come out. In Xiang shook his head. Flying Thunder God. In Xiang turned around and attached Fei, Lei Shun Kuwu with Lei Dun, and Kuwu was at their feet in an instant. They just saw Kuwu when In Xiang fell down in front of them again. What? The pupils of the three ninjas dilated, and they quickly stepped back, but one of them was too late. He was grabbed by the collar of In Xiang, spirulina. In Xiang's spiral pill directly hit him in the abdomen. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. A scroll fell out of his arms. In Xiang reached out to catch it. You're lucky, it's a book of earth. In Xiang smiled and put the book of earth into his knife bag. The two surviving ninjas looked at their companions who fell on the ground and looked at In cautiously. Towards. Once I got the scroll, I won't take any action against you. Leave. In Xiang sat on the tree trunk under his feet and looked down at the two ninjas below. The two genin looked at each other, then left immediately. They could see that they were not In Xiang's opponent at all. Let's go. Let's live your last 5 days. In Xiang looked at the backs of them leaving. The corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and they could no longer complete the exam after a teammate died. After all, the rules require that the whole group people arrive. But In Xiang's smile soon disappeared. What about Naruto? In Xiang sat on the tree with worry in his eyes. Brush. The sound of cutting through the air rang in In Xiang's ears. In Xiang immediately jumped away from his position. The three Kuwu were stuck on the tree trunk. In Xiang stood on another tree and looked at the three coming from behind. Man, it's the ninja of Sandine. Hand over the scroll. I'll spare you. The three fell in In Xiang's three directions and surrounded In Xiang. In their opinion, 3 hits 1. In Xiang has no room to fight back. Can you bring it to your door? In Xiang took out 2 scrolls from the knife bag. If you want it, come and get it. There are actually 2 volumes. Save us a lot of trouble. One of the ninjas laughed and jumped over there with Kunwuk Xiang, In Xiang. In front of him. What a quick blink. People. The pupils of the ninja who attacked In Xiang dilated, looking for In Xiang's position. And when he saw In Xiang's Kunwu was standing on his teammate's neck. If he dares to move, I will wipe his neck. In Xiang squinted his eyes and smiled, and the smile made them tremble in their hearts. In Xiang's ninja cold sweat was already breaking out. Don't do this, we'll give you the scroll. Let him go, said the ninja who attacked In Xiang before. Oh, did you forget? I already have 2 scrolls. In Xiang still kept smiling. Then what do you want? Another ninja said, I just want you to stay still. In Xiang laughed. Okay, we won't move. The 2 ninjas said quickly. After a while, In Xiang spoke again. You know, in fact, even if you don't move, I will still kill him. If you want to blame it, you should blame me for making trouble with me in the first place. In Xiang's voice fell behind, and the person disappeared. There was already a scratch on the neck of the person who was holding kunai. By In Xiang, blood sprayed out, and he fell straight down. And In Xiang, in order to be handsome, used the flying thunder god again, and came to the side of the corpse that was marked by himself at the beginning. After using flying Thor 3 times, I don't feel much consumption, and the chakra has grown again. In Xiang felt his chakra, and then felt satisfied for a while, but he still swallowed a military ration pill, just in case. End of this chapter. Chapter 45. Chunin Exam. 9. Chapter 45 Chunin Exam. 9. On the Red Bean side, the bodies of 3 grass ninjas were finally found, and it was confirmed that Orochimaru came here, so they immediately notified the 3 generations and also requested 2 Umbu troops to come to the Forest of Death. And then Red Bean himself also entered first. Find Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. Sure enough, it's better for me to go to Naruto. After thinking about it, In Xiang began to look for Naruto's traces in the forest. They came in through gate number 16, and In Xiang went to gate number 16 first, and then looked for the traces of Naruto and others from here. Seeing the ground lifted by the big breakthrough of the wind, The power of this big breakthrough is not sure how much stronger than himself. He chased all the way, and In Xiang just saw Naruto blocking the big snake in front of Sasuke. "Yo, you're not hurt, coward," Naruto gasped and said to Sasuke. Naruto's eyes were already red at this time. Those were Kyuubi's eyes. Naruto's cowardly voice stimulated Sasuke. This is what Sasuke said to Naruto before, and now Naruto gave it back to him. "This timid and cowardly guy is definitely not the Sasuke I know," Naruto said to Sasuke. Before, Sasuke had been frightened by Orochimaru's murderous aura, and now he stood in place and dared not move. But after Naruto finished speaking, he was pulled up by Orochimaru, sticking out his long tongue and tied in the air. "Damn, let me go, you snake demon." Naruto struggled under Orochimaru's tongue, and at the same time, a seal was formed on Orochimaru's hand, which was the seal of the five-element seal. This is Orochimaru. It really has a strong, murderous aura. In Xiang's whole body trembled, trembling with excitement. Is he actually going to fight this Orochimaru? But he is definitely not an opponent. Orochimaru's tongue lifted Naruto's clothes, saw the gossip seal below, and then added a five-element seal below. Naruto's eyes turned blue again, but then fainted. Orochimaru took out the Book of Heaven from Naruto's knife bag and threw Naruto out. "Naruto!" Sakura shouted, ready to throw Kawu to save Naruto. But In Xiang took a step forward and hugged Naruto, landing on the tree trunk. In Xiang. Xiaoling felt excited when she saw In Xiang. If In Xiang was here, maybe she could defeat the person in front of her. But she was obviously thinking too much. "What's the matter, Sasuke?" Sakura looked at Sasuke again, but Sasuke was still standing there, with a dull expression on his face, not daring to do anything. "Oh, Bofeng In Xiang, I'm gonna find you," Orochimaru said to In Xiang when he saw In Xiang coming, and licked the corner of his mouth at the same time. "Outside Konoha a year ago, you were the one who fought against me." In Xiang put Naruto on the tree trunk and said, looking at Orochimaru in front of him. "Not bad." Orochimaru didn't deny it and nodded. Naruto is different from Sasuke. Although he's clumsy and gets in the way, at least he is not a coward. "Right, that's right," Sakura shouted to Sasuke. At this time, the man appeared in Sasuke's mind, and his mind was full of his voice. "No." Sasuke cheered up, and Orochimaru also looked back at Sasuke. "You don't move over there first, and when I finish dealing with this side, I will fight you well," Orochimaru said to In Xiang, and then made a mark on his hand, and the big snake on his feet disappeared, standing on the trunk watching Sasuke opposite. It really is the Uchiha clan. The blood is starting to stir. "Let me slowly confirm your strength." Sasuke's eyes were very firm at this time. He bit a kunai in his mouth, and then rushed towards Orochimaru quickly, then flipped through the trees in the air and threw a few kunai and shuriken, but all were dodged by Orochimaru. Sasuke followed the tree next, jumped to Orochimaru, punched him in the head. Orochimaru raised his arm to prevent Sasuke's punch, and then pushed Sasuke out with strength. Sasuke also kicked in the air kick at Orochimaru. Of course, Orochimaru couldn't stop it. He also raised his legs and bumped his legs together. This time, it was Sasuke who retreated with strength, and Orochimaru immediately chased after them. A physical battle. With the shaker, Sasuke can clearly see Orochimaru's attack, and he can also attack. However, Sasuke had thought that he could see the movement of Orochimaru clearly, but he did not expect that Orochimaru would move faster. And then the surrounding trees moved so fast that In Xiang could no longer see Orochimaru's movements. Now In Xiang doesn't dare to make a move at all. In case Orochimaru has to change his plan because of his own move, it will be bad if he accidentally kills Sasuke. Boom! Orochimaru slammed into Sasuke's position, and Sasuke immediately jumped away from the original position. "I can see it," Sasuke said in his mouth, "and it is good to have a pair of riding wheel eyes." Sasuke not only jumped away from the original position, but also formed a seal in the air. When he landed, a flame was sprayed towards Orochimaru, and then a flame was added to directly form a flame vortex. Orochimaru smiled in the flames. The next moment, Orochimaru used the soil to rush towards Sasuke from the tree trunk and jumped out with a punch, but Sasuke still avoided it. Phew! After landing, Sasuke let out a big breath and continued to look at Orochimaru on guard. Neither of them made a move now and fell into a brief calm. It's barely okay. You predicted my actions and attacked me exactly. You can see it. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke and thought to himself, it can't go on like this. I'm afraid Orochimaru has only shown 20% of its strength. In Xiang thought to himself, and at the same time he began to form seals in his hands. Lei Yun, let's go. In Xiang attacked Orochimaru from the ground with a thunderbolt, and Orochimaru jumped off the spot, dodging In Xiang's attack. Hurry up and take Naruto away. He is not something you can deal with. Hurry up and inform Shangnan. In Xiang jumped in front of Sasuke and said with his back to them, "Oh, don't you know who I am?" Orochimaru had some guesses in his heart when he heard In Xiang said to inform Shangnan. How come? I can already see his movements clearly, and I can defeat him immediately. Sasuke was not afraid at all at this time, and he wanted to continue to fight against the man in front of him. Don't you understand? Psychic, sealing, instant body, earth escape, and his strange body, which doesn't cost chakra at all. He's not a ninja at all, In Xiang said to Sasuke. And at the same time, these words are also used to fool Orochimaru, so he can't see that he knows who he is. End of this chapter. Chapter 46. Chunin Exam. 10. Chapter 46 Chunin Exam. 10. This. Sasuke calmed down and thought about it. It was true. If it was a psychic technique, he couldn't summon such a huge thing with his chakra, but he used it 3 times in a row, and he kept using it again and again. Other ninjutsu, this is really not what the next ninja can do. Go quickly when you understand. I will hold him back until you call for support. In Xiang took out kunai and said to Orochimaru, it turns out that it's not that I know my identity, but that I don't belong to Genin from other aspects. Orochimaru thought to himself that he was also fooled by In Xiang's reasons. Be careful. After Sasuke nodded, he ran to Naruto's side, carried Naruto on his back, and left with Sakura. In the process, Orochimaru did not stop him, but stared at In Xiang. You who are you? In Xiang squatted here, holding Kunwu by the side of his hand, looking at Orochimaru and pretending to say, Me? My name is Orochimaru. Orochimaru stretched out his hand and tore off the skin on his face. At the same time, after the forehead guard of Kusanagi was wiped off, it became the forehead guard of Inin, and his eyes snapped. Zooming in a bit, he instantly released a powerful, murderous aura, and at the same time a seal was formed on his hand. After this seal, In Xiang's body could not move directly. It was useless for Ren In Xiang to struggle. What is this? Is it a body fixation technique? In Xiang only felt that his body was being controlled by something, and he couldn't move at all. Next, there was another strange mark on Orochimaru's hand. After seeing it, In Xiang shouted bad, but he couldn't move at all. The next moment, Orochimaru's neck really stretched and bit In Xiang's neck. In Xiang was in great pain for a while, and at the same time, 3 black hook jade appeared on the back of his neck. This is a small parting gift from me. After you feel his power, I think you will thank me. After Orochimaru finished speaking, he disappeared in front of In Xiang, and In Xiang could finally move. Covering the back of his neck, he knelt on the ground and shouted. After a while, he fainted from the pain. I don't need it, you bastard. This was In Xiang's last thought. On the side of Orochimaru, he went to Sasuke again, and in the same way, he bit the curse mark on Sasuke's neck. When In Xiang woke up again, he was under a tree with 3 people standing around him. You're awake, In Xiang. It was Tian. After seeing In Xiang wake up, Tian ran over quickly. The 3 people around In Xiang were Ningxi, Xiao Li, and Tian. The 3 of them watched In Xiang for one night. Tian. In Xiang stood up from the ground with Tian support. Drink some water. Tian brought a bamboo tube from the side with the clean water they found yesterday, and Tian took the bamboo tube and fed In Xiang to drink it. In Xiang, what happened to you? You didn't look very good yesterday. Xiaoli said to In Xiang. In Xiang's expression was very painful last night. I met a very strong person, Naruto and the others. Have you met? In Xiang looked at Xiao Li and asked. All three shook their heads. Really? In Xiang got up from the ground, and at the same time made a few marks on his hands and then slapped his palm on his neck, Fengsha Dharma's seal. Ah, ah. A pain hit In Xiang's neck, and a circle of curse marks appeared around In Xiang, startling Tian Tian and the three of them. In Xiang, are you all right? After shouting for a while, In Xiang lay on the ground, covered in sweat, and his body was soaked with sweat. No, it's all right. In Xiang shook his head. It was okay. I learned to seal the evil magic seal before, so the magic seal can be temporarily sealed. How'd I get here? In Xiang looked up at Tian Tian and asked. Yesterday, the three of us agreed to disperse to investigate the situation. It was Niji who discovered you and brought you back. Tian Tian said to In Xiang. That's it. Thank you, Neji. In Xiang looked at Neji and said, and Neji nodded, but who made you look like that? There should be no one in this forest that is your opponent. I'll talk about this later. I'll go to Naruto and the others first. I don't know what happened to Naruto and the others after they fainted. From the point of view of Niji bringing him back, they didn't seem to find Shangnin. Come to support, I am afraid that it will be caught up by Orochimaru. Then let's go together. Niji said to In Xiang, if that person went to Naruto and the others, you would need our help. To be honest, if the guy is still there, you can't help. I can only be a meat shield when I go there. In short, thank you for your rescue. I'll go first. In Xiang sighed and said, come on, Tian Tian. In Xiang said to Tian Tian with a smile, then turned and left. Is In Xiang really okay? Tian Tian looked at In Xiang's back and said, In Xiang is right. If In Xiang can't deal with it, it's probably useless for us to go. Xiaoli said, let's continue to disperse. Look for clues. We'll meet here. Niji nodded and said, and the three dispersed again. In Xiang moved quickly in the jungle, and then replenished his stamina with Bing Bing pills. Since yesterday, he has not had time to eat, so he can only replenish his physical strength with Bing Bing pills. Boo! In Xiang jumped down from a tree and looked at the grass beside him. Oops, I was actually discovered by this monster. Shikamaru froze for a moment in the grass and said silently in his heart, it's actually that In Xiang. There is no other way. It seems that I have to come. Ino walked out of the grass, untied her long-tied hair, and put on an enchanting pose. Hey, In Xiang, I've been paying attention to you for a long time. Is this going to use a beauty trick? The little girl now, In Xiang said in his heart after seeing the three of Ino and seeing Ino's action again, but really? I've been paying attention to you for a long time. In Xiang immediately appeared beside Ino and hugged Ino's waist. Ino was stunned, but he didn't expect the other party to react like this. Even if you don't do this, with Shikamaru here, I won't shoot at you either. I still have some urgent matters now, so I won't tell you guys. In Xiang gently kissed Ino's forehead. Ino's face immediately turned red. In Xiang's appearance really made her unable to resist. Goodbye. After In Xiang finished speaking, he left. Will there be any here? In Xiang ran out in a different direction, but he accidentally chased the wrong direction. Instead, Xiao Li, who went out to collect information, accidentally ran to the place where Xiao Ying and others were. I met the three people of Tonin who shot against Sakura. In order to protect Xiao Sakura, Xiao Li used the lotus flower that Kai listed as a forbidden technique to fight against the three of them. This move will cause great damage to Xiao Li. End of this chapter. Chapter 47, Death Forest 1. Chapter 47, Death Forest 1. Damn, why can't I find it? I remember this time. I'm afraid the three of Een and Neen have already come to the door. In Xiang searched almost all over the forest and met several groups on the way. Being avoided by In Xiang, it's better not to waste time with them at this time. In Xiang then ran back to the original direction. But it was a coincidence that he met Gaara's team, and Gaara blocked In Xiang's way directly with a sand waterfall. I'm in a hurry now. It's better not to stop me. In Xiang was forced to jump from the tree and landed in front of them. I want to fight with you. Gaara stopped Kankuro, who was about to shoot later, and said to In Xiang, there will be opportunities in the future, but not now. In Xiang said expressionlessly, looking at Gaara in front of him. Sand waterfall. Of course, Gaara ignored In Xiang. Just a burst of sand waterfalls attacked In Xiang. In Xiang raised his hand and swept away the sand waterfall in front of him. What? Gaara's pupils dilated slightly. This was the first time such a thing had happened, and Kankuro and Temari were also shocked. Go away. In Xiang's pupils contracted, and a murderous aura was released from In Xiang's eyes. Kankuro and Temari were immediately shaken by the murderous aura. Although Gaara was not that serious.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.